Ladies and gentlemen, court is back in session. Catholics, restorationists, now Anglicans get a lesson. Soren versus the other Paul, are icons apostolic? Do they bring us to the saints? Or is that merely hyperbolic? Now, counsel for holy orthodoxy. Proceed! Please the court, let's set the record straight. The point at issue are icons okay to venerate. A resounding yes, both in scripture and tradition. The other Paul says no, but his theology is fiction. You see it in the Bible, Old Testament and New. Icons honored in the tabernacle, in the temple too. The Anglicans elected to abandon this tradition at the founding by a king with an adultery addiction. Cherubim in the curtains, angels on the ark, God's divine counsel, consecrated art, temple in Jerusalem, cherubim stands up line, more than mere depiction, a portal to the divine. Joshua bowed to the ark and the people to the temple. The king bowed to Daniel, tell me what does that resemble? Don't get me wrong, other Paul's not a parody. Australian good citizen, genuine sincerity. Stands for the anthem, he salutes the flag. He honors shrines of soldiers coming home in body bags. But other Paul doesn't see God's kingdom as greater. Stop honoring the saints, congrats, you're a traitor. Cherubim in the curtains, angels on the ark, angels on the ark, God's divine counsel, consecrated art, temple in Jerusalem, cherubim stands up alive, more than mere depiction, a portal to the divine. Counsel for the Anglicans, make your case. The other Paul stands, his heart starts to race. He claims the apostles were ran iconic. Wait, they made the icons, but their honor is demonic. The incarnation strengthened the iconic flow. What you did to the least, Master Christ, don't you know? We only know the Father through his icon, the Son. No icon means no Trinity, your theology's done. Cherubim in the curtains, angels on the ark, angels on the ark, God's divine counsel, consecrated art, temple in Jerusalem, cherubim stands up alive, more than mere depiction, a portal to the divine. The other Paul, good guy, Guinness with the boys, Vegemite, Tim Tams, Aussies make some noise. I'll admit I'm impressed that you offered to bait me. Nonetheless, I have the truth, so victory awaits me. And Anglicans are fence-sitters, can't make up their minds. Do you join the papists? Is a rock band fine? You pledge allegiance to the councils, but skip number 7. Beware, arbitrariness may shut you out of heaven. Cherubim in the curtains, angels on the ark, angels on the ark, God's divine counsel, consecrated art, temple in Jerusalem, cherubim stands up alive, more than mere depiction, a portal to the divine. God was incarnate, his flesh was created, descended to earth, death was evaded. Although he's eternal, in essence unknowable, now he's depictable, discernible, showable. Let me ask you this, I'm not trying to fool you, because deep down we all believe icon, or do ya? What about the Bible? Do you think it's sacred? Can it be used for toilet paper? Why venerate it? Words are icons too, those marks convey a sign, and material reality, it'll blow your mind. Angels, dominions, divine council members, joined by the saints, the martyrs, defenders. Icons were always beyond mere art, they serve a special purpose, always set apart. Icons used for worship, divine liturgy. The Orthodox Church, come and see. Cherubim in the curtains, angels on the ark, angels on the ark, God's divine counsel, consecrated art, temple in Jerusalem, cherubim stands up alive, more than mere depiction, a portal to the divine. 27th, soaring eagles. You'll see the truth unfold. Soaring versus the other pole, curing iconophobia.
Hello. What'd you guys think of that one? Looks like some pretty good comments on. Not a fan of AI, but this is it's you know what I got to do? I have to get that hey men on the soundboard for sure. Yeah, been working on that one for a little while. I couldn't get the Suno engine to do what I wanted it to do, and I kept on changing the lyrics. And I might have like one more iteration of that by the time we're through. But yeah, a woman archbishop for the Anglicans, instant L. Yeah. Get on the mic. Oh, get on the mic. Am I not loud enough? Oh, you're talking about singing. You're talking about singing. I had a stint with the Ropenties. You know how we are about singing. Everybody sings. Even if they can't sing, they sing. So, oh, you guys are too generous. Good stuff. This is what AI was made for. Yeah, well, people are going to use it regardless, right? So, like I said this before, like, why don't we just flood it with good things? Why don't we flood it with a bunch of Orthodox content, right? Why does it have to be degenerate content? Rap, bro. I don't know. I don't have. Maybe I can just use Suno for background tracks, and then I can do the rest of it myself, but. Today, we're talking about Fearless Truth. He had a debate yesterday. You guys can check this out if you think it's interesting. I was on Cleve's channel yesterday with Kangman Lee, who's like a political commentator. I think he has like, I don't know, some association with conservatives or something in America. Let's play Marvel Rivals. I suck, dude. You see, I was barely hanging on when I was playing with Father Stephen and these guys. Orthodox songs coming soon to the Icon Corner, guys. Again, can't plug them enough. They're former Church of Christ guys, now Orthodox Christians, and they produce great content, very good stuff. I think they recently did a video on like apostolic succession, so they have my endorsement. They are very smart guys. Watch them get on and say something like utterly ridiculous next time just to pin that against me. It'd be so funny. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Let's do a debate review. It's not dilly-dally. This would be a good one to look for tactics. Oh, I should probably plug this if I'm going to be a good YouTuber / streamer. Of course, the song that you guys all just heard is about this debate that's occurring on March 27th on the Transfigured Life YouTube channel on whether iconodulia is apostolic, and it is. The apostles would have venerated icons. That is the most reasonable conclusion. It is the most. They were not iconophobes. They were not aniconic. They didn't care about that. 28 likes with 99 watching. Smash the like from Grogons. Thank you. Yes. Guys, again, if you want to help the stream, like, share, subscribe to the channel. I think subscribing will have you participate in the chat as well. For the people that do not know Nadir, the guy is highly regarded, and he is becoming worse. Yes. Octavian, what's up, my man? Need to see one of the mods here before it gets too crazy. So, oh yeah, Phoenix Ear is here as well. I'm gonna plug his video again on Ubi's new channel, Pints with Ubi. Gin with Petrus. I don't know, what can we call it? Where he's doing in-person interviews. Phoenix Ear is also likely the most jacked person in the chat. So there's that as well, for what it's worth. Yeah, we have this debate coming up March 27th. We have my video on unconditional election coming up. Still scripting that one. You guys know I like to cut out all the fat and to be efficient with it so that I can produce a finished product. And people generally are focused on like, just get out more videos, get out more videos. I'm thinking like a year, 2, 3 down the line, when we go and like look back at these, there's a library, a depository of these videos that I can organize them all into playlists and have like a comprehensive tulip refutation, a comprehensive iconography explanation, and they'll all like have their own playlists. So I'm thinking like 1, 2, 3 years out. So, and it's like not a rush for those videos for me. It's more like just focusing on the product and not the content, making sure that it's high quality, but delivered in a way that's similar to pop apologetics. Right? Nadir is the best apologist for Christianity. Well, he was kind of a warm up for Nick because Nadir, I looked him up on YouTube. He only has like 2,000 subscribers, dude. He only has like 2,000 subscribers. And Nick, I think like that, Nadir was punching above his weight class to try to debate Nick. I think he was really off topic the whole time. And you'll see like the moderator tried to pull him back a lot. Ubi, new channel, root of orthodoxy, not grief version, not grift, not grief, not grift. Yeah. Something happened with Jim Bob's stream again. Yikes, dude. He won't debate. He muted me off his channel, by the way, because I commented and he is hiding all my comments. So like, I can go and comment, and on my end, it looks normal, but nobody else can see what my comments are. So I asked him to debate. He doesn't want to debate. He doesn't do formal debates. He's a grifter. He just talks smack. I feel like the way to exonerate yourself from being a grifter in the apologetics space is by doing real bona fide debates, right? Like, you have to show that you actually believe what you're talking about. Not that you're just going to go and like blab for countless videos and just literally, like, all he does is talk smack. Shadow ban. Yeah, it's an option. I don't know if you guys have a channel, you can see that you have that. Every creator has that option. Who muted Alex? Guys, oh, Messenger of Truth, man. Messenger of Truth. I go and I comment on his videos and I can see it, but nobody else can. It's like Compendium and Icon Corner. You guys will know what I'm talking about. And Phoenixer. Yeah. Phoenixer. Because you guys all post things. But if you go tap on someone, you get the option to just like hide from channel. What the heck? Thought I heard my cat. You get the option to hide from channel, and then it looks all normal on your end, but on their end, like nobody else can see what you're typing. That's what he did to me. Because I went and I commented on his video and I said, hey, you're talking a lot of smack. It's probably time for a formal debate if you're going to go do that. It's like, I kind of, in a way, I see myself as like the police. Like, if somebody's talking too much smack about orthodoxy, you know, I'll be right there in the comment section, dude. You guys just got to send me. It's time for a formal debate. You have met the threshold of smack talk. So yeah, he's a grifter. He's a grifter. He doesn't actually believe what he's saying because he won't defend it in a formal debate. Messenger of Soy. Yeah. He is not a real apologist. He's a fake apologist. He doesn't do formal debates. He's a big faking grifter. No one likes a smack talk stink bug. Yeah, like I talk smack, but I will actually go and like, have a formal debate. And if I lose, then GG's, whatever. Like, it's not a big deal. People make such a big deal out of this. They get like so caught up in their identity in this stuff. It's like, dude, you have to detach your self-worth from social interactions. Yeah. Messenger of Truth is a Muslim, I'm assuming. Another guy I don't know. No. It's almost worse. He's a Calvinisty non-denom who calls himself just like, I'm just a biblical Christian. I just believe the Bible. So he's in the same vein as needgod.net. He's in the same vein as Orion. So they just have their script of proof text. And yeah. Yes, we are talking about a messenger of truth. Yeah, he is not a real apologist. Alex could become the Larry Bird of apologetics. Maybe. Maybe that's the path I'm on. I don't know. But that's the drama with Messenger of Truth. He's a goblin. Just like a guy I don't really feel like naming on X recently. If you guys follow me on X, you probably know what I'm talking about. So let's get to the debate. LOL. Oh, shoot. Where? I have the wrong screen up. Bear with me one moment, guys. You guys all know Nick is going to be debating. He's going to be debating Jake soon. Muslim metaphysician. True Christian Ministry is also like needgod.net. That's the channel, True Christian Ministry? There are a bunch of goobers like that. Alex, how am I just finding out you're a fellow Michigander? Yeah, I was raised in Michigan. I live in Windsor now. I married a Canadian. I might be going back and forth. I don't know. I might be moving back soon. I'm not sure. But he attends my church. It's a Baptist church, but he is definitely Calvin leaning. I don't know how the leaders of your church are fine with that, because his views clearly are not Baptist. Let's get some more legal trash talk, counselor. Oh, dude, I'm not trying to infringe on another fellow lawyer's trademark over there on legal. We are Soaring Eagles. I'm a lawyer with the Soaring Eagles. I am not the capital L, capital E legal eagle. Jake will be a much tougher opponent than this Nadir guy. This is like a warm-up for Nick. Like, this guy almost defeated himself, for real. Jake, Allah has 99 ontologies. Bracatella, yeah, they are... I saw on X, they're coping so hard about how he phrased that, and they're just like trying to play semantic game. So he can get himself out of it. But I mean, he said what he said, man. He said what he said. Jake is very dishonest. I mean, they're allowed to lie in their religion, man. They're allowed to lie. It's Takia. They're allowed to lie. Now, that said, I don't know the state of his heart, but the fact that they are permitted to lie should tell you something. Like, that should be enough. That's funny. Jake was just obliterated by God Logic in person and Junior. Didn't Avery, he recently defeated Junior as well? That was a good debate. We could probably review that one sometime too, because that's if you guys don't know, the Eunomian premise is the idea generally that in order to be God, you have to be ase. So it brings into question the divinity of the Son and the Holy Spirit, because they receive their origin from God the Father. They are not ase. Only the Father is ase. The Triween. I got 99 ontologies, but Allah ain't one. Yeah. Hey, we got 5 gifted from Nixie. Thank you, Nixie. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Dude, I feel so bad I don't have the hey man. I was trying to finish my song, my diss track against the other Paul, who, don't take it personally. I don't actually think all those things about you, Paul. I think you're a cool guy. He has a good sense of humor, I think, the other Paul. He's very funny. That wasn't a debate. More like Dr. Branson giving Jake a lecture in formal logic. Yeah. They were talking about the cow. I got to refresh my memory on that one. That was a good debate, I thought. And like, I don't know, it looks like Doc Branson has been busy doing actual work. So I haven't seen him on YouTube lately, but maybe we could get him on. maybe we could get him on an Alex stream, because he like basically formed my idea of Trinitarian theology. My Trinitarian theology comes from Doc Branson's paper and his essay in this book, The One God, Three Persons, Four Views. So that, and also the biblical basis for the Trinity, Father Stephen already did all that work for you guys. So you guys don't have to go do it and mess it up and do it improperly. In Religion of the Apostles, Father Stephen grounds each person of the Trinity in the Bible. So that you get Religion of the Apostles and you read like Bo Branson's essay. And here you have like a very solid understanding of the Trinity, I would say. Like you're probably in the 95th percentile in terms of like the person, the typical Christian in the parish, right? Dr. Branson, Dr. David Bradshaw, Tikhon Pino, absolute tanks. Yeah, Bradshaw especially. Because, you know, growing up Pentecostal, I have a specific love for the scriptures, a deep-rooted love for the scriptures, and I think that's why I resonate with Father Stephen's methodology so much. Is that it really is just like we have all these texts. They make claims about supernatural events. Are they true, and how should we read them at the most fundamental level? So, LOL. Yeah, modern day debates. Maybe I should send this guy an email and do something on modern day debates. Father Stephen's reaching his final form. Well, did you guys see that Clips channel, the pseudo Stephen? Pseudo Father Stephen? That's a really good Clips channel. He's been grabbing stuff from my streams and Cleve streams and Cassian King, Barrel Aged Faith, his streams, his appearances throughout the YouTube world. And he's creating like a library of all of Father Stephen's takes, which is like, that's a very good idea. And recently I saw Father Stephen, I don't know if I don't know if you're aware of that channel, but he recently posted your interaction with a Calvinist pastor on the atonement. And I have very rarely seen a Calvinist, educated Calvinist person get knowledge gapped so hard, so quickly. It was just a knowledge gap. It wasn't even like a terminology or philosophy or something. Like he just didn't know. Alex, when will you have Barrel Aged Faith on? Isn't that the question? Because he had me on really early. I have to have him on too, dude. That's a good point. I'm being kind of rude about that. I should have him on. Probably after my debate with the other Paul, because Cassian helped me prep for my debate with Yassi, and he's helping me with this one for the other Paul. In my debate with Aaron, it was a bunch of former Church of Christ guys that are now Orthodox. So, yeah, Cassian has reached out like right away, created a network right away. I think I had like 2,000 subscribers, not even when he reached out to me. Not even. So, yeah, he's a good guy. Super Saiyan Ultra Instinct Father Stephen DeYoung. I'm telling you, people, he's a genius, people. Oh, he's not going to like that. He's okay. He's okay. Okay, before I get too down the flattery rabbit hole, you can start this review. Kyle convinced me of orthodoxy when I was a papist. Yeah. Cassian is your Shifu. He's definitely been there since like literally the very beginning. Are we going to get an unconditional election video along with a reaction to reform? Do you want me to react? I don't think you addressed the merits of my video. I can react to it if you want, but like I don't think he addressed my points actually head on. Can you bring Justin on? I want to ask him about his aphronema. Yeah. Where are you going? You should stay. Father Dr. Stephen, we will continue to knowledge glaze. I mean, it's just that clip was like the stereotype, like the archetype, the stereotype of knowledge gap. Like that's purely what it was. You didn't have anything to say. You couldn't keep up. I enjoyed Father Stephen's recent video with Cassian on St. John Cassian. I really need to read the conferences. Dude, I have it over here on my bookshelf, and I haven't gotten into it yet. So, okay. So, I said 20 times I'm going to start this video. Let's do it.
Hey, the floor. We're debating, is Islam true? And we are starting right now with Nadir's opening statement. Thanks for being with us. Nadir, the floor is all yours.
Thanks. Oh, 1 second. I'm sorry about that. There's a lot of noise.
Oh, they didn't give us the layout. Normally, they give us a layout of like 10-minute openings, 10-minute rebuttals, 15-minute cross exams, 30-minute open discussion. So we're just kind of going in. We don't know.
Coming here. Sorry about that.
No problem.
How's the audio, by the way? Should I turn it up on the video? It just seemed kind of loud. Did he actually? That's so. I feel like sometimes they're so, like, forgive me if this is abrasive to anybody. I'll word it this way. They are so unintelligent and lacking thoughtfulness that they may do it without even knowing, like without even realizing that they're doing it. I'll turn it up a little bit. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
there we
hit
go.
that like,
Yeah,
folks. We do appreciate that support. Ready for you.
All right. Thank you. I'm ready to go now. All right. So the debate topic here is Islam true? Well, I think for this debate, I'm going to be presenting evidence from both science as well as history and comparing it with really what the Bible teaches and what the Quran teaches on the exact same issue.
Hey, so when I think about this, I'm saying is Islam true? You probably start. It's such a big topic. You'd start with like your doctrine of God. And if I was Nick, I would just attack Muhammad the whole time, because if you can discredit Muhammad, the whole thing falls apart, right? Please, no scientific miracle. Yeah, that checks out. Shamoon is like a heavyweight debater, though. AP, when I saw AP debate like dialogue, I guess atheism with Jay, and it went exactly how you expected it to go. So AP has been debating for a while. He's a good debater. But saw the tail end of this. He tries to claim that Islam is more scientific than Christianity. That's really stupid. That doesn't mean that it's true. Just because it's more scientific than Christianity. You'd have to argue an impossibility to the contrary. You'd have to make a transcendental argument, basically. Otherwise, it's like too broad of a topic. You can't. You have to argue it the way Jay does and say that it's a necessary prerequisite, and then accept every challenge from them and then explain them away. Yeah, you're not. We can see you, man.
I'm just going to share my screen, if I may, just so I can, just 1 second here, and you'll see what I'm talking about here.
Okay, we're ready for you.
Okay, so this is very interesting. If you look at Islam,
remember what is the point of the opening, right? What do I want the audience to learn? What do I want them to get from me? Like, what do I want you to believe? What is my position? I want you to believe Islam is true. Why should you believe it? Otherwise, nothing makes sense. That's the tag argument, right? Otherwise, nothing makes sense. Well, of course, Alex, you don't need a triune personal Christian God. You can use a Neoplatonic scheme where we're all just like the one. So, well, then you have problems with teleology, right? And you just go through each category. So right off the bat, this kind of makes me nervous. This list here, like none of that. This is just not the right approach to try to prove a system as a whole.
Islam and Christianity, they talk about the same things. Both Jesus and Muhammad talked about mustard seeds, alcohol, washing hands before eating, remarriage, epilepsy, and who killed Jesus. Now that's interesting. It looks like one is just doing a copy job of the other. But what you're going to find in this debate tonight is that Islam gives very different answers on all these questions. And and the reason why is because it's answering the question how you can know Islam to be true by just comparing the teachings. So let's see who does a better job. And based on what I'm basing that off of is at the top here. Choose the best answer based on the real world outcomes and observable consequences between these two books. So they both, both the Bible and the Quran, they talked about who killed Jesus. Well, the Bible says that it was actually the Jews who killed Jesus over here inside 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 14.
Okay, so the Bible says the Jews killed Jesus, which they did. So what? Right. For me, mustard seed is the doctrine on which religion stands or falls. Hold on, was that on his? I didn't even realize what does that even mean? I hope he goes into each of these. I literally don't even know what he means.
The Bible says that it was actually the Jews who killed Jesus over here inside 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 14. It states the Jews killed Jesus, but the Quran teaches the Jews did not kill Jesus inside chapter 4, verse 157. So what could be the problem here? That, accusing an entire group of people of the worst sin possible. This is called deicide, the killing of God.
That has nothing to do with whether it's true or false. You guys know that, right? Like my chat would know that for sure. I know. Because even those that are lagging behind, we have the collective IQ will drag you back up, I hope. Like just because there are bad social implications for something, that doesn't mean that it didn't happen.
Well, the Holocaust. I don't know if you know this, but the New Testament, this specific passage, the Holocaust scholars have talked a lot about this. And based on their research, this is one of the root causes of the Nazi Holocaust.
Literally, his first argument is a very common formal fallacy.
So the Quran comes 600 years later and removes this theological driver of hate. So let's take a look at some references just to back up.
That has nothing to do, just because it said something different. Like the thing in question is whether or not it's true, not what the social implications of that thing are. This is such a weird comparative approach. What's even happening? It's bad. Chat, like and sub. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Octavian, for the reminder.
Up everything I'm saying. I'm quoting the Holocaust Encyclopedia. All right. It states over here, the false charge that the Jews killed Jesus. I know it's kind of hard to see. Let me make it a little bit bigger for you. There you go. The false charge that the Jews killed Jesus was one of the root causes of the Holocaust. Again, I'm quoting the Holocaust Museum. Let's go to Yad Vashem. This is it's a museum in Israel. If you ever get a chance, this is the building right here. You can go take a look at it. It states over here that one of the roots of Nazism is actually biblical Christianity. It says Christian anti-Judaism. What are they talking about?
Like, Father Stephen, that irony was not lost on me either. I'm like, he's going to build his opening statement. Like, this is the first thing out of his mouth in his opening statement is that, like, Christianity can't be true because look how bad they are to the Jews, or the implications. Look at the implications of the Christian narrative for the Jews socially later on. Like, this, he has no leg to stand on. They're Muslims. They have no leg to stand on. That's so crazy. Like, what was he thinking? So crazy. Hold on. I saw something for Nixie, a member. Alex, look up Sahih al-Bukhari 54 or 56. Look it up right now. Is it relevant? Bukhari 54, 56. What? Is this it? The prophet said, if one of you eats, let him not wipe his hand until he licks it or has licked. Or has it licked? What? What? If one of you eats, let him not wipe his hand until he licks it or has it licked. This whole chapter is just sus. Why is this wording so weird? Oh, we got some super chats. Ethan, I don't want to say his name. I don't want to give him more attention. That's literally all he wants is attention. So what am I going to lie about today to get attention on X? We can talk about that, I guess, if you guys want, because it was like such a blatant lie. And there are people actually falling for it. Like the fact that he got over 100 likes on that tweet is weird. Very weird. He's a horrid example of an Orthodox and drives many people searching the truth away. I agree. Thank you for the $5. Aerocoda 3590. Thank you. And $4.99 from Brady. To be fair, I think Nadir is Mossad and not a Muslim. You'll see what I'm talking about after this debate. I mean, he has so much empathy, I see, for the Israeli people. He's finger licking good, dude. That is so weird. Most mild, but yeah, it's weird though. Like, let him not wipe his hand until he licks it or has it licked? Like, I just have so many questions. Like, why? By whom? For what purpose? So weird, dude.
This is the video I'm quoting from Roots of Nazi Ideology. This is from this is coming from Holocaust scholars, not my words. This is not coming from jihadalakbar.com. Okay. And let us see what they say. The Jewish belief that the Jews were accused of deicide. Deicide is the belief in the killing of God, which is exactly what 1 Thessalonians teaches. So now that creates something called the Christian dilemma. Okay, now I know what you're thinking here. Well, those Christians just misinterpreted the Bible. This has nothing to do with interpreting the Bible. This is about inciting hatred. And that is, so it has nothing to do with interpretation. And I know you're thinking, well, we can't believe, all the blame goes on those ignorant believers. Yeah, some of the blame goes on the ignorant believers, but not all.
Don't Muslims wipe their butts with their hands? In Pakistan, I think they do. Yeah.
Because the Bible was guilty of introducing an idea while knowing it will likely cause harm or serious problems, and that it would.
Okay, now he sounds like a Protestant. The Bible was guilty of introducing an idea. The Bible is a book, dude. The Bible is a book. And it doesn't matter whether it causes harm or not. What matters is if it's true. What people do with that information, that's on them. This is like saying guns kill people. Guns don't do anything. They're objects.
So by a certain degree, it will bear some of the responsibility for that. Go ahead and put this in your chat GPT, what I'm underlining, and it will all say, yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah, people need to understand that ChatGPT is not, it doesn't do research for you. It's a research tool. ChatGPT is a research tool. It uses logic chains. You still have to site check ChatGPT. I can't believe that is so stupid. Whenever anybody does that, they just instantly lose credibility to me. Like very quickly. Like just out the gate. It's a research tool. It doesn't do research for you. People think it does research for you. Some more super chats. Let's talk about Ethan Wayne. I can do it briefly after this debate review. The guilty blame others for pointing out their guilt. It's your fault that I am suffering. Yeah. Cope. I think we also call that cope, right? I see you guys have like some other hadith references in the chat. Maybe we can like put them all together and then look up a bunch of them at the end here.
Right. So this is the Christian dilemma. If we make the assumption that Prophet Muhammad is a false prophet from Satan, and the Quran explicitly states that Jews did not kill Jesus, thus removing the stigma and theological hostility, it reduced one of the major drivers of religious hatred. If you go through the Islamic world and you look at the entire history of Islam, what won't you find?
They were so good to Jews, right? Weren't they so good to Jews? This is so dumb, dude. Like, this is so stupid. What room temperature IQ argument is this? Now I'm getting a little mean. It's so bad.
You will not find Jews being persecuted or killed because they're Christ killers or because of anything taught in the Quran. You will not find that, but you will find that in the Bible. How can you?
That is just so obviously wrong. And also, it's not moving the ball down the court for his case.
Reconcile an alleged false prophet correcting a correction that brought a certain level of peace into the world, while God's word allegedly, 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 14, 16, the accusation against the Jews of deicide brought persecution into the world. So it wasn't just the Holocaust, it was 2,000 years of suffering and persecution.
As Father Stephen knows very well, the Jews were persecuted before and after Christ. And it was basically their own doing. Read the entire Old Testament. Read the prophets. In fact, they even got like special treatment sometimes, but the Romans were very harsh. Look, the Maccabean revolt. The Pontius Pilate. He was ruthless with the Jews. Father Stephen says, imagine signing up to debate a Muslim and getting a boomer lib. He's like Sheikh Ali al-Pelosi. He's so concerned with the well-being of them.
It is not an interpretation, but rather the explicit teaching. Post-Holocaust reinterpretations don't work because it ignores the reality. So it goes on stating over here, how does this make sense? And you can go ahead and put this in your chat GPT. I'll do it at a later time, but I want you to do it. Because of course it can be biased towards me.
Again, chat GPT. He acknowledges even that it's biased. This is so crazy.
You do it at home and you'll see that the assumption, Muhammad being a false prophet, in light of the good it brought to the world, correcting the evil, the sinister evil unleashed upon mankind by the teachings of the Bible, this assumption doesn't make sense. That's all I'm trying to prove here. So I'm going to underline this. And
okay, let's extend some some mercy towards Nadir here. I understand at some point he has to go on the attack because you can't just like sit there in a formal debate and just be attacked without attacking yourself. But you have to establish your case first. Like if you look at my debate with Aaron, that was my whole thought process, was like, once I get that out of the way, then it's free reign for me to talk about, the ridiculous entailments of some Church of Christ views. Like you have to set up your view first. He's not even giving the audience anything to latch on to. They say that Islam is true. Didn't give them anything. Hey, cleave to antiquity. What's up, Ben? As again, let me plug that stream we did yesterday with Kangman Lee, me and Cleve and Kangman. He's a very thoughtful guy, Kangman, very humble, intellectually humble. I think like, he is not afraid of having his ideas challenged. So go check that out. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. He brings a funny energy, like a good funny energy, like a comedic energy. Like he's yeah. Remember, Islam says that the Jewish people only tried to kill Jesus. I forgot about that. Like, doesn't it like kind of more or less support the narrative? It's just that when Christ was put on the cross, there was some like shenaniganry going on there. That like it either wasn't exactly him, or he was swapped out or taken up or something. But Alex, this prompt is written for a Nadir to be on full defense. Nick has no obligation to address any of the Christian issues Nadir brings up. I agree. However, this is not a debate that's graded on paper like in your high school debate class or your high school debate team. I agree. Nonetheless, when it comes to YouTube debates, I disagree. I think that even with the prompt, the you're not trying to win a score. You're trying to persuade people in the audience. So if Nadir had something that was like so devastatingly bad, or like something that has a hook with the audience, then Nick would have to address it regardless. I agree that technically Nick has no obligation to address any of those issues, but we live in the real world here, not in some abstract academic reality. Like, people are watching this, and the goal is to convert people. So you do have to address some of that stuff. Chat, send super chats to give Alex the ability to annihilate heretic minds full time. I would appreciate that very much. We are growing, chat. We're growing. So, okay, let's get back to this insane opening statement that has literally nothing to do with what he should be doing at this time.
My opponent is going to have to make sense of that. Let me underline that for you in light of this evidence. So let's take a look. We're going to find out that the misery and suffering doesn't stop there. Let us go look at, let me go to scorecard. Who killed Jesus? I'm sure you'll agree, based on real world outcomes, Islam gave the better answer. So I'll go and give.
So what? It has nothing to do with whether it's true or not. That's so crazy, dude. That's so cringe.
The answer to the Quran and Hadith over there. I'm sure my opponent will not object on that one. Okay. Let us sit up both Muhammad and Jesus.
Steven says internet debates are optics 90%, 10% substance. So you need to address. I disagree with that ratio, because to a degree, optics entails substance. Like, you can't just make bad arguments and to say them confidently. Like, that will only get you so far. Eventually, you'll run into somebody like Jay that will be like, what you just said is very stupid. You just said many things, or zero things with many words, right? That it'll only take you so far to rely on your confidence in theatrics. Like, part of good rhetoric entails sound arguments. Alex is completely wrong. I don't know. I just got here. Good evening. What's up, Marco? Good to see you, man. Yeah, Nadir's opening is schizo, dog. He is schizo. He's like all over the place. It doesn't make any sense.
Jesus talked about alcohol. And what we find out now is that just drinking just even a little bit of alcohol, there's no safe limit, basically. People say, oh, it's good for your heart. The overall harm of alcohol outweighs any good. And here we have, if you see these children on your screen here, these are children who have fetal alcohol syndrome because their mother drank some alcohol while they were pregnant. And we now know from science, I'm going to go ahead and show you, I know this is really small, let me make this a little bigger. Oh, let me go back there. We know that Muslim women are 50 times less likely to give birth to a fetal alcohol child. Let's go and look at that study, which I was quoting from, as compared to Christians. So what the study says, you got to go to the Christians. That's where you're going to find this disease, a fetal alcohol syndrome. So here we see yet another example. Again, I'm not here to show, look, Bible contradicts science. That's not the issue here. The issue here is who's giving the better answers on these issues. Well, I don't think there's any question about it, that Islam is giving the better answer on alcohol. Now, remember, when I say this is a better answer, here's a study I'm quoting from, in case you want to just hit.
First of all, it's not the better answer. Second of all, it has nothing to do to prove the system as a whole. Like, that's what this debate topic is hard. So you have to be a smart person, a well-read person, if you're going to take a debate prompt this broad. Is Islam true? You have to prove the system as a whole. You have to use a transcendental argument. Again, you can't just like come up with some an arbitrary list of things and just do like a comparative analysis and be like, look, these are preferable in my system, therefore my system is true. It does not follow. It's so stupid.
Pause on your YouTube screen. I'm quoting from a European child of adolescent psychiatry. Now, when I say Islam gave the better answer, I'm talking about it in a period of time when we didn't know the effects of alcohol on the pregnant woman or on children. So in this period of time, then there's no doubt that the right answer is you shouldn't drink any alcohol. So in addition to that, the Quran also gave another scientifically correct statement. Science tells us today that the overall harm outweighs any good. Here's the study I'm quoting from. It states over here. Yeah, they have some benefit for the people. I'm sorry, this is a study I'm quoting from. This is from CNN. It states over here, many studies have shown that the overall health risk of drinking alcohol outweighs any benefits. I'm sorry. The Quran.
That's just like not true objectively. Literally, the first one that comes to mind is like kombucha is a fermented drink, has like what, 1% alcohol or something. It's like objectively good for your gut microbiome or something. Was this a CNN article? Oh man, he's coming after my Negronis. Dude, do you like Negronis? That's also kind of my cocktail of choice, the Negroni. Yeah, I will engage in an alcoholic beverage from time to time. I'm sorry, chat, if that offends some of your sensibilities, but Sirac 3127, wine can put new life into you if you drink it in moderation. What would life be like without it? Wine was created to make us happy. I mean, like Father Stephen says, he points to the Old Testament, where it tells the Israelites to buy strong drink to celebrate certain feasts. Literally tells them to go buy strong drink. And for what purpose? To consume it, to relax, for recreation. Of course, you still need mindfulness in that. That's not a carte blanche to be careless. But like that thing is like those things are a gift. We have to be responsible with them, though. Paisios of EO, $5. Thank you very much. To spoil it for you guys, this guy uses AI and ChatGPT throughout the entire debate. I mean, we're like 2 minutes through his opening statement, and he already referenced it twice. Thank you for the $5. Compendium, $5. I work at a hospital that's probably a quarter Muslim. Can confirm they splash water on themselves to clean. They definitely do it here in the States. I do think some water needs to be involved in this. Yeah, as my parents grew up in Europe, and you know they have an emphasis on bidets over there, and I'm just thinking, like, if you get refuse on any other part of your body, like on your arm or something, wouldn't you use water to clean that off? Soap, water, like a billion times over, soap and water. So I am a bidet supporter here, and then toilet paper after the bidet for sure. There you go. There's your life lessons with the EO lawyer in this stream. Nice, less drunk kids, but inbred. Oh man, dude. That debate with Andrew Wilson and Pikachu will just. There are some things that will be out there forever, and Andrew Wilson is the cause of many of them, like the microphallus argument. It's how you win debates, fellows. You got to keep it simple. And Andrew Wilson is a master at that. He's very, very good at that. And that's what makes him so effective. Sapphire says, I agree. You have to be highly educated for debates like this. You know, like, yeah, educated, but educated helps. But more so to be like aware of the topics and the literature. And it's just like the broader the topic gets, the harder it is to engage, the more preparation and research it's going to take, because something like this is so broad. Any number of things could come up. Like, this would be a hard one to like, if I was to defend is Christianity true, I would be having a conversation with my opponent beforehand, and I'd be like, I understand this is how we're labeling the debate, but we need to narrow this down because this is impossible. It's a very broad prompt. So yes, the broader it gets, the more preparation it will require, for sure.
On word for word states this. It says they have some benefit for the people, but their harm far greater than their benefits. Two scientifically correct statements. So in correcting the teaching of the Bible, how many scientifically correct statements? We find two. So the argument, oh, well, other people condemned alcohol in history doesn't work because nobody in history made two scientifically correct statements. Now let's look at a third. Inside the following, this is from Ibn Omar.
Wait, what did he just say?
The Bible, how many scientifically correct statements? We find two. So the argument, oh, well, other people condemned alcohol in history doesn't work because nobody in history made two scientifically correct statements. Now let's look at a third.
Nobody in history made two scientifically correct statements? What is he talking about?
Inside the following, this is from Ibn Omar. He's narrating from the Prophet. He said, whoever drinks khamr, which is alcohol, and does not get intoxicated, his salah will not be accepted so long as any trace of it remains in his belly or...
Bidet superiority confirmed. Yes, I do have that. Orthodox apologist with the cleanest. Well, my father-in-law is a plumber, and I had the benefit. He installed like 3 of them. We had 3 bathrooms in my house, and he installed one in each. So
his veins, alcohol in the veins. That was only discovered until recently. So in this one correction, what my opponent will have to answer for me.
Marco, I have to give you Father Stephen's email. Actually, I'll text you after the stream is over. If I forget, please text me. We can get Father Stephen over there. We can get Father Ron over there too. Maybe you can have them both on. Hey, 1999 from Rock Willivian. Rock Will Livion. 2122, $20. Thank you very much. Pascha isn't quite the same without being offered various ethnic forms of moonshine from the old country parishioners after midnight liturgy and agape vespers. Here is your Negroni fund, Alex. Wine maketh glad the heart of man. Thank you very much, Rock. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, Negroni is my go-to. They do vary depending on where you go. Like if you go to an actual cocktail bar, that would be a great thing to get. But you know, if it's just like your typical local pub, then you just get whatever's on tap. For sure.
Is how do you explain Muhammad? And
I almost forgot. This is more important than whatever Nadir is saying. Thank you for the fat super chat. Appreciate that.
Alleged prophet, if you say the false prophet, an alleged false prophet made 3 scientifically correct statements in correcting one mistake of the Bible. That is not humanly possible. Only a God can make 3 scientifically correct statements. So again, my argument is not that, oh, look.
What is he saying, dude? Only a God can make 3 scientifically correct statements. You don't think you can comb through the Bible and find 3 scientifically, like, that seem to be scientific claims? Although neither the Quran nor the Bible are like science textbooks, right? I don't even understand. Like, what is he saying? What am I listening to? He's just saying words.
You know, the Quran condemns alcohol because other people have condemned alcohol, but nobody has made 3 scientifically correct statements in its so-called condemnation. So let's go to our scorecard and let's go ahead and check mark. Islam gave the better answer on alcohol. Let's go to the virginity test. Now, we all know from science there's no such thing as a virginity
I'm still looking forward to the mustard seed because of Father Stevens mentioning that earlier.
test. There's no way you can test a person's virginity. That is ridiculous and it is silly because we know that there are some women who are born without a hymen. There are some women who break it just doing exercise. So that's stupid. And of course, you get sexually abused women. In Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 17.
Why are we talking about this? Debate, is Islam true? So the hymen of a woman, like, what?
Tells us that basically to perform a virginity test. I won't go too much in detail on that because I want to show you the Islam's position. This says the most wicked among you, among the people in the eyes of Allah, on the day of judgment is a man who goes to his wife and she comes to him and then he divulges her secret. Well, what took place in that bedroom, whether there's blood or no blood. There's no virginity test in Islam. Now you find some ignorant, stupid Muslims who might do that stupid stuff, but what the prophetic hadith clearly states here, there is no such thing. So, and science has...
Therefore, Islam true? This is the tier of Muslim content creators. These are like the up and comers, or I don't know. Has he been around for a while? I saw his channel is small, so I assumed he's an up and comer. Maybe he's not. I don't know. Nadir often puts the donkey before the cart epistemically in this debate. $4.99 from Brady. Thank you very much, Brady. I think he has bigger problems than understanding epistemology, like basic reasoning skills, but you're correct. But I think the problem is more fundamental than epistemology.
Has made it very clear that virginity tests are absolutely barbaric and they're stupid. I won't even show you the references. Maybe I might show you one. Let me see. I can't find it. But anyways, if my opponent has some questions about it, I'll show you the scientific reference for that. So let's go to the scorecard. Virginity.
Hey, here's the thing. In a debate, people catch on to how you interact with your opponent, and he's literally said my opponent here, and that's fine. You can say my opponent. You'll notice in my debates, I try to use their first name because we are friends. And it shows like a familiarity and an equality between the two of you. So my opponent is like, it's just a weird way to say it. Just call him Nick. Say his name, right? Like when I debated Elijah, show me this. Aaron, show me this. right? You can't discount yourself, your own credibility. You have to show that you're on equal footing with the other interlocutor. Nadir and Shamoon debated like 6 or 7 years ago. He's been around for a long time. He's just terrible at debating. Dude, you know what's sad? He's still terrible, despite being around for 6 or 7 years. Like, it's very bad. Nadir literally means low point. Oh, is this nominative determinism? You guys know what nominative determinism is? It's like when all the kids that are named Dennis become dentists. Maybe he's just literally living out his name. That's funny, actually. God truly has a sense of humor. So it seems. He definitely does, yeah.
Test. Islam gave the better answer. So now we know why Islam is talking about the same talking points as the New Testament or the Bible. It's correcting the mistakes. So how bad is this going to get? Both Jesus of the New Testament and Islam both talked about washing hands. When these people came up to Jesus, the story in the Bible, really very funny story. Let's get the verse in front of us over here. It says they don't wash their hands before they eat. They're complaining about his disciples not doing it. So basically, to make a long story short, Jesus puts up this huge argument. No, you don't understand. This is just tradition. You shouldn't follow man's tradition.
Hold up, y'all. My mouse is glitched. Hold up 1 second. Gotta switch my mouse. Do. We are glitched. So you got these like little disposable USB mouses, mouses. And chickens are coming home to roost. It's the phrase, right? Wired supremacy. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's the problem. Oh, okay. Here we go. Meese. Yeah, Byzantium Man on Twitch. Hey, thanks. As we are streaming on Twitch as well and on my Facebook too. So just trying to push the Orthodox content everywhere, right? Because we need content for everybody. Okay. Go back a little bit. He's talking about the washing now.
Why Islam is talking about the same talking points as the New Testament or the Bible. It's correcting the mistakes. So how bad is this going to get? Both Jesus of the New Testament and Islam both talked about washing hands. When these people came up to Jesus, the story in the Bible, really very funny story. Let's get the verse.
I'll bet you he doesn't know the story.
In front of us over here. It says they don't wash their hands before they eat. They're complaining about his disciples not doing it. So basically, to make a long story short, Jesus puts up this huge argument. No, you don't understand. This is just tradition. You shouldn't follow man's tradition. Obviously,
he's not saying not to wash their hands. He's talking about the ritual washing, not washing your hands before you eat. Obviously, you shouldn't put dirty hands on your food. That's so crazy. Boomers need to watch the stream too. Hello, Mom, and Facebook. Yeah, Facebook is like it is kind of like for boomers. But you know what I noticed is that there's like so many people, so much reach. Like the algorithm pushes your stuff on Facebook. Like I posted a reel or something and it got like 10,000 views like pretty quickly, and I was like, what? The Facebook algorithm is still effective, but it is going to be mostly boomers. It's true.
This is an act of stupidity when someone's telling you wash your hands before you eat, because the CDC states very clearly here, hand washing is a healthy habit before you eat. Before eating, you need to wash.
No way this guy went to the CDC. That's crazy. Jesus said to not wash your hands. The CDC proved that you have to wash your hands. He's talking about a ritual washing, dude. He's talking about a ritual washing. This guy categorically doesn't understand rhetoric. Yeah, that and basic reasoning. I'm not even going to say like syllogistic logic. I'm just like, he doesn't know how to think. He's just saying words. He hasn't actually conveyed a thought that supports what he's supposed to be proving. He hasn't done that yet. Like, not even one thing.
Wash your hands, please, especially when you're dealing with manure and things like that. You can catch a tapeworm. The Quran, I'm sorry, Prophet Muhammad in his authentic hadith states, which I can find it over here. It states over here that a messenger of Allah wanted to sleep while he was in junub, he would perform wudu, and when he wanted to eat, he would wash his hands. The very thing Jesus was complaining about, allegedly. And by
That's not what he's complaining about. This is so bad.
doing so, the Prophet of Islam wins the recognition of the scientific community. A second recognition we see in today's debate. Efficacy of hand washing and soap and nail clipping, which is also taught in Islam. And so we can see from this article, Science Today. Let's see. I'm sorry. Let me get to the article. I can't find it here, actually. Here we go. The WHO actually praises Islam in the following article. Okay, World Health Organization, the state over here. The Prophet Muhammad always urged Muslims to wash hands frequently and especially after some clearly defined tasks. So let's go to our scorecard. Who did the better job on washing hands before eat? Prophet of Islam. So
as we got the scoreboard, guys, I guess this means Islam is true. He has more check marks on the Quran side than the Bible side. I wonder if this would actually persuade anybody.
I only got one more minute here, but I think you can see what's happening here. Islam is
He used all of his time on that. This is what I talk about, guys, like being efficient in your opening statement. If your opening statement is powerful enough and your opponent is lax enough, you can win just based off your opening. Like, for you guys remember when David Wood debated Alex O'Connor? You guys remember that? Like, David Wood did not do very well in like the cross exams and the open discussion, but he did good enough in the opening statement to bring that to I think win the debate. I think his opening was too difficult for O'Connor to overcome. Father Stephen Saucy saying the Shahada incoming. Yeah, this is very weird. Inefficient use of an opening. Dude, when somebody's opening is over, what's that proverb that says that everybody thinks they're on the right side until they hear the other lawyer talk or something? Ah, yes. 1817. This is what you should get out of opening statements. The first to speak seems right until someone comes forward and cross-examines. That's NIV. The first one to plead his case seems right until his neighbor comes and examines him. That's what you should get out of opening statements. Like, somebody goes first, like, dude, that's a pretty convincing case. I don't know how the other guy's going to be able to overcome that. And then they have their opening statement. And, oh, this is more complex than I originally thought. That's what you should get out of opening statements. I am confused with this. This is a very bad opening statement. He needs to read a book on how to argue.
is reversing
Just forget arguing. This bad presentation skills. It's a horrible presentation of why Islam is true.
the evil, sinister, evil effects which was unleashed upon mankind by the teachings of the New Testament, from fetal alcohol syndrome to the death of 6 million Jews and 2,000 years of suffering and persecution of pogroms, all taught because of that one verse in the Bible. And of course, washing hands. Unfortunately, my time is up, so I can't go through all these other categories. But I think the 4 categories that we see on our screen is enough to draw the conclusion that yes, Islam
Literally, all I wanted was for him to talk about mustard seed.
is true, and the Prophet Muhammad proved it by basically giving better answers on the subjects than what the Bible. So what my opponent needs to do, he needs to come up and say, no, the Bible, the Islamic answers are inferior. They're not good. He needs to do
1
this.
minute left.
Uncheckmark this and checkmark Bible, or just uncheckmark it in some way and tell us why these are not better teachings. If he cannot do so, then you should be rest assured that Islam is a true religion. All right, that's all I have.
Thank you very much for that opening. We are going to kick it over to Fearless Truth for his opening as well. But first, a couple of quick housekeeping things. First, folks, if it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, I'm your host, Dr. James Coons. We are a fully neutral debate platform.
give a mock opening countering this nonsense, I just talk about how Muhammad's I just reiterate everything from Raymond Ibrahim's book Sword and Scimitar, and I just be like, you guys are ruthless killing machines, and then just point out a bunch of contradictions in the Quran. But I think from Nick, he should find like one really good thing to triple down on instead of gish galloping. That's how I would approach it. Find one really indefensible thing that like Nadir in particular would not want to defend. So remember, our opening is what we want the people to take away. Like, what do I want you to think? Here's what it is. And then you go through the evidences and you show in cross-examination that it can withstand scrutiny.
Hosting debates on science, religion, and politics. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button as we have many more debates coming up. Subscribe below. With that, we're going to kick it over to Fearless Truth. Thanks for being with us. The floor is all yours for your 15-minute opening as well.
Yes, sir. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if that's okay.
You got it. Ready for you.
All right, let me get the tab up here.
If you haven't yet, folks, hit that like button. We do appreciate your support. Hitting that like button does help.
All right, can you see it properly?
Yep.
Cool. All right, guys. So I'm gonna make this opening pretty short and sweet to the point because I'm very excited to get to the rebuttals and the cross exam, because after that,
I think that's Nick's strong point too, is cross exam. I think that's just where he thrives, because he was like maybe I'm wrong, but he was like a TikTok debater, right? So that would be his strong point. It's like the actual interaction with the other person. So I think that's a good move from Nick. Also, like his opponent's opening was so nonsensical that like if it would be very good for him to be as to the point as he possibly can be.
Opening, I have a lot of things to say. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. First of all, the debate, is Islam true? Now, what are the claims of Islam? To actually be able to defeat Islam, we need to know what the actual claims are. First of all, Islam claims that it is the revelation from Allah. It claims that Muhammad is a true prophet, and it is the final revelation amongst others that were already given by Allah. Now, some things we need to consider here when we're talking about whether or not it's from God and the Quran is from God and Islam in general is from God. We need to think, okay, number one, is it historical?
That's pretty good, because like I like the slide too. It's like right off the bat, we know what Nick is going to argue. He's going to say it's ahistorical. There's no continuity. Also, it just doesn't make sense. Perfect. He's an Orthodox Christian. Yeah. If you guys were on Nick's stream today, I called in to just to chide him a little bit. But yeah, he's an Orthodox Christian. He's our boy. We got to support our boy out there, right? So yeah, this is a very good presentation for Nick to start off. We know what he's going to say. It's not historical. In fact, it's ahistorical. There's no continuity. It doesn't make sense. Bada bing, bada boom. Get in, get out.
Historical. Does it have some sort of historical basis, or does it go against science? Number two, does it show proper continuity with the previous prophets? Is Muhammad in agreement with these other revelations that already occurred? And number three, is it logical? Starting off with, is it historical? Well, we see that the earliest sources for Jesus' crucifixion, we have things like John Myers, A Marginal Jew, which is going to be the one of the quote-unquote accurate transmissions of the Antiquities of the Jews by Josephus. Many people claim that some of the antiquities were sort of messed with and tampered with. But here I give you a...
I like this thing that Nick picked, because in picking the crucifixion, he's not only demonstrating to the audience that like all of the sources from the time that mention Jesus, they all agree that he was crucified, that he was killed, or he voluntarily gave up his spirit. But it's also a crucial component to Christianity. So this particular fact that he's drawing out kind of goes both ways. It discredits Islam and it bolsters Christianity. So I think that's like a good strategic choice from Nick there.
Version that is widely recognized by scholars as the most accurate transmission, which indeed does talk about Jesus' crucifixion. Also in Tacitus in the Annals, book 15, he as well speaks about the crucifixion of Christ. So in some of the earliest sources that we have Christ being crucified. We have people that are neutral saying he was crucified, and Josephus was actually a Jew. So he was more than neutral, and he said that Christ was crucified. Now, what he's going to have to show is, he's going to have to show that these people were wrong and that he has some other historical basis besides the Quran, because just using the Quran is circular. So he's going to have to show more things than the Quran that show.
Yeah, if he's going to argue from history, he needs to show corroborating sources. Corroboration, right? Nick doesn't use the Islamic dilemma. He takes a different approach and does just as good. Dude, that reminds me. Remember when Jay streamed for like 4 or 5 hours and he was just like calling all Muslims, come debate. And for like 4 or 5 hours, all he did was the Islamic dilemma. And they like couldn't even understand like what the dilemma was. That was like a year ago or something, before he debated those two guys on Fresh and Fit. That was a crazy stream.
His claims that these things are actually historical. Now, the next thing is, does it have proper continuity with the previous prophets? So in basic syllogistic format, premise 1, if a prophet is a true prophet, he must be in agreement with the previous prophets. Premise 2, Muhammad is not in agreement with the previous prophets. Conclusion, Muhammad is not a true prophet.
Okay, so his first point, let's just recap here. His first point, it's ahistorical because it's wrong on the crucifixion. All the sources we have from the time agree with the biblical account of the crucifixion, that Christ was crucified and he died. Second point, is there continuity? He uses a syllogism here. If a prophet is a true prophet, he must be in agreement with the previous prophets. Muhammad's not in agreement with the previous prophets. Therefore, Muhammad's not a true prophet. Right. So this is a good way to structure it, I suppose. But also look at P1, guys. He put a period there. He didn't have a period on the other ones. Just kidding. That's my lawyer brain. So now you have to show evidences for your premises. Right. Like, why should we accept this principle? Why should we accept this assertion that Muhammad is not in agreement with the previous prophets? Muhammad, because once he has evidences for these two premises, the conclusion just follows. So I'm assuming, because Nick is a good debater, that's what he's going to do. He's going to show evidences next.
Now the question is, how do we prove that, right? How do we show that he's actually not in continuity with the previous prophets? Well, if Muhammad came up to you in the 6th or 7th century and he said he was the last prophet in line with the rest of the prophets, how do we confirm he's actually this prophet? Well, we would go to the previous prophets and we'd see, do they actually match up? So let's see if they match up here. Here are just some of the prophets that Muhammad contradicts. For example, Isaiah says the Messiah will die for the sins of the people and he will be cut off from the land of the living.
This is a really good approach. I like this approach from Nick because it's also evangelistic. Like, these are very crucial things that Muslims need to accept if they're going to become Christians. Like, these are the big ones, right? The prophecies about the Messiah will be God, the Messiah will be eternal, the Messiah will be God. Like, this is a huge point. This is one that Muhammad got very wrong, obviously.
It's Isaiah 53. Zechariah says the Messiah will be God. That's Zechariah 12, where Yahweh himself says they will look on me whom they pierced. Micah says that the Messiah will be eternal. Micah chapter 5, it talks about how his days will be from everlasting. David says the Messiah will be from God. That's Psalms 45, where he claims that he is God himself. Now, is it logical? So here's another basic syllogistic format here.
That was, okay, short and sweet to the point. Point 1, ahistorical. Look at the contemporary sources. Tacitus and Josephus, they agree with us. Is Muhammad in continuity? No. Look at the previous prophets and what they say about the Messiah. Muhammad doesn't agree with that. Therefore, he's not in continuity. It's a very tight opening from Nick. He could have, I'll give a critique, I guess, so I can be fair to Nadir as well. He could be a bit more not like theatrical. I don't know, that's like not the right, because that's like a little bit performative. It's a little bit more of to his points. And like, if he can present the argument in a short amount of time, great. Well, now, if you have time left in your opening, you should be using that to do something, like to attack or to reiterate a point. So far, like, very, very good opening, very direct and to the point, and also evangelistic, which is, at the end of the day, that's our goal, is to make converts of the viewers.
Here is premise 1. If the Quran is the word of God, then the Trinity is polytheism. Premise 2, the Trinity is not polytheism. Conclusion, the Quran is not the word of God. So guess what? He is going to have to show that for some reason, the Trinity actually falls into polytheism. And I would love to see how that happens and see how we can figure out if it's actually polytheism or not. Here's something my opponent may try to argue that I predicted correctly. He may try to argue scientific miracles. And so to that I answer, if this is the determination of prophethood, then the writer of the Edwin Smith Papyrus must be a prophet, as one of the earliest known works to be completely in line with scientific discovery, as well as every other scientific discovery before then.
It's pretty funny. I don't think I could have predicted what Nadir was going to argue, because that was so bad.
Are accurate to the core, they all must be prophets according to that. Now, what if the scientific miracles were true, right? Let's say that they were true. Even if Muhammad got every scientific miracle or every scientific prediction correct, if he's not in continuity with the previous prophets, it automatically rules him out of being a true prophet, and there must be some other answer, right? So if he goes against them, if he is in complete disagreement with what the previous prophet said, he at the very least is not in line with those prophets or from the same God that those prophets are from. So he's going to have to say either 1, that these other prophets weren't from God, or 2, Muhammad isn't from God, or 3, which would be the final and only logical conclusion, that God himself contradicted himself. So we'll see what answer he comes up with. I'm excited to get into the rebuttals and cross-examine. With that, I can see the rest of it.
Thank you very much for that opening.
Yeah, I think he should have reiterated his 3 points, right? So in Advocacy 101 in law school, they tell you, look, when you have the jury, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you just told them. 3 steps. Tell them what you're going to tell them what you just told them. So he did step 1 and 2, but he didn't do step 3. He was like, guys, I have 3 points: historical, continuity, logical argument. Here's my historical argument. Here's my continuity argument. Here's my logical argument. Thank you. That's what Nick did. He could have, at the end there, been like, so you just heard argument 1, argument 2, argument 3. And then like draw the viewer's attention to be like, now I expect my opponent to address each of these 3 points. And you have to prime the viewers, right? That's who you're really interacting with here, not your interlocutor. You have to prime the viewers. Prime the jury.
We will kick it into the rebuttals and want to give you a couple quick housekeeping things. First, folks, if you did not know, I'm putting a link for our insiders list in the live chat right now. It's also in the description box. This is so you know when DebateCon will happen next. That's Modern Day Debate's official conference, and DebateCon is happening this summer. We basically have a date. We're about to send that out to our insiders list. So join that insiders list now so you can get promo codes for discounts on tickets, as well as word before everybody else on when and where. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, so the big joke here is that he ended quite early. You should have taken that time to respond to the points which I presented to you. It's almost like he was absent. Okay, so this is going to be a long night for him.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't. I think the point Nadir is trying to make is that if he had a bunch of extra time, he could have used that to talk about what I just said. But yeah, again, that isn't actually the purpose of an opening. Joe, who's not going to liturgy? Somebody's not going to liturgy? You should go to liturgy. Come and see, dude. If you're trying to understand our position, you should go to liturgy and speak to the... Okay, there's only so much knowledge that you can get from reading books. Eventually, you will just have to go. That's why I like Craig's channel. Islam wins. He didn't even mention Chewbacca. Yeah. He did not even mention Chewbacca. Why waste time responding to a nothing burger? That's a good point. There's nothing to respond to. There's nothing to respond to. It was just some weird garbled... It was just words. It didn't convey any clear meaning whatsoever. Like, at least I know from Nick, he made 3 arguments. He's like, you have a problem with historicity, you have a problem with continuity, you have a problem just logically. All that I remember from Nadir is wanting to hear about mustard seed and something about a hymen. Lord have mercy. It was an accidental comedy routine. Yeah, it was.
Now, I'm going to do my best to address all the objections. If I miss one, it's not because that Islam is wrong. It's just on me. Maybe I missed something or something like that. So,
okay, he's going to address all the objections, right? Remember, Nick made 3 arguments. Let's see if he addresses any of them. Nick was very clear.
let me start. He says there's no continuity with the prophets inside the Bible is basically what he's quoting. Well, there's a very simple answer to that. The Bible is wrong. What the Bible says on the issue of alcohol is wrong. This is one of the many errors in your book.
Why is he talking about alcohol? He was talking about the Messiah and all those prophecies about who Jesus is. That's so weird, dude. And if the Bible is wrong, I think Nick also, there are some prophets that like double up. I think maybe like Zechariah is mentioned in the Quran. So, and this is just like question begging. It drags him into the Islamic dilemma.
And the Quran is correcting it. So there is a clear continuity. It's just that you have errors in your book.
It sounds like there's no continuity then, dude. Like, if you're saying we're wrong, then how can you be in continuity from us? They're not in continuity.
the virginity test. No true prophet is going to tell his followers to do a virginity test in the Bible.
Dude, why, God forgive me, why are these people so weird? Why are they talking about virginity tests and alcohol? It's like, has absolutely nothing to do with this topic.
Which you see there, and what will that passage? I'll have to find it for you. But so these are clear mistakes in your Bible, which the Quran and Islam is correcting. So you also talked about you want to see historical evidence for the crucifixion. I can show it to you, but I think the crucifixion has been already debunked. I'm going to share my screen here.
I think anybody who has researched it in depth has come away with the conclusion that, like, yeah, this is like the crucifixion is, any reasonable person would agree that there's a good degree of historical certainty to the crucifixion. I read Case for Christ. I'm something of an expert on this.
The story of the crucifixion is an evil, wicked, sinister story. It is responsible for the death of 6 million Jews and 2,000 years of persecution and suffering. Don't listen to me. Every Holocaust scholar, academic has talked about that.
Why is he? That's such a weird position to assume. Like, it just opens him up to the most obvious attack. Like, so harm to the Jews dictates what's true. They're in continuity with the imaginary original text. Yes. The myth of the autographs. The mythical autographs. Crazy. So how can you be so an online debater on YouTube? He has 2,000 subscribers. There are 2,000 people that subscribe to this guy. And he, like, the fundamentals of argumentation or just presenting an idea. Forget argumentation, just presenting an idea. He has failed on the most basic level.
I showed you, from the Holocaust Museum, Yad Vashem, the list goes on. So you said you have to just prove it historically. I could just prove it historically if you push me to, but I don't think I need to, because you forgot about something called evil. It is, you have to also factor in the fact that could this be a satanic corruption in your book? A true book of God shouldn't be responsible for bringing such death, suffering, and misery into the world. Now, I know.
You guys should read this if you want to learn about Islam bringing death, suffering, and misery into the world. I talked about this before. Early on in this book, Raymond Ibrahim talks about the Dar al-Islam, the abode of Islam, and the Dar al-Kufr, abode of infidelity. It's like literally the house of Islam and the house of war. Right? Like, just this introduction is worth buying the book, I would say. Just this introduction. He exposes a lot. Like, there's a line here, I think, that totally debunks Nadir. I'm looking for it, but it's something like, according to their own historians, like, the early Muslims were some of the most, like, savage, like, bloodthirsty people ever that lived the planet, according to their own historians. Yeah. No, I don't have the quote offhand. But that's a good book by Raymond Ibrahim. It just goes over, like, what, seven like very bloody battles. 8. Goes through 8 very, very bad battles and wars between the West and Islam. It's a very good book.
I know what you're thinking. Well, no, it's just the ignorant.
They are a religion of bloodthirsty wrath. That's where they come from. That's how they spread. And today they've adopted, like, the soft invasion, but it's the political implications to Islam are just, like, very, very bad. It's a satanic ideology.
Believers who misinterpreted. This has nothing to do with interpretation. This is about incitement, inciting hate in people. That verse about where it says the Jews killed Jesus, it makes people angry, very angry, as we now know from history. Islam came and removed this theological driver of hate and brought peace, compassion, prosperity into the world. I have issued the challenge. Where do you see any kind of, where Jews, if you go to Israel today, it is literally littered with refugee camps of throwing those Arabs and Muslims out of their homes. And this is where they've been languishing. In our Islamic history for 1,000 years, where do you see any of that? You don't. You don't, because of the peace, because Islam removed this theological hate from our beliefs. So let's go ahead and share. Let's ask.
Has nothing to do, again, with the truth or falsity of the claim. Will I be punished by God for every single liturgy and vigil I am unable to physically attend, even though I am desiring and willing to? Genuine question. I'm not God, but I would think no. Why would you be punished if you are unable to physically attend? You literally can't. I don't think you have anything to worry about there. I mean, you should talk to your spiritual father, but yeah, if you actually literally physically are unable to go, that doesn't make any sense that you would be punished for that.
So I asked the question here, if we make the assumption, now this is just basically going to ChatGPT, and I want you to also do this. I want you to take this paragraph and put it in ChatGPT, and let's see what responses you get. So my argument here is, oh, look,
Literally put it into ChatGPT, chat.
I said it's okay. No, that's not what I'm saying here, okay? If we make this assumption that Muhammad is a false prophet from Satan, and in light of the fact, and the Quran explicitly states that the Jews did not kill Jesus, thus removing the stigma and theological hostility, it reduced one of the major drivers of religious hatred. So how can you reconcile an alleged false prophet correction that brought a certain level of peace into the world, while God's word, allegedly, 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 14, the accusation against the Jews of deicide brought persecution into the world. Okay, this is not about interpretation. This is about explicit reading of the text. It's about incitement.
Meanwhile, these guys like obliterated North Africa. I think it was in Raymond Ibrahim's book. I read something like prior to the Muslims getting there, you go through the desert, there would be monasteries everywhere, right? You would hear the songs of the monk while you're going through the desert. And by the time the songs of the last monastery faded, you're already hearing the songs of the next monastery in front of you. Like, that's how many Christians were in North Africa. And the account is that after the Muslims came through, there were not any. They killed them all and destroyed all of their monasteries.
Holocaust reinterpretations don't work. So I keep going on over here. The verse is not being blah, 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 blah. Rather, it's generating hate, thus causing the problem. The fact remained that Christianity did indeed plant a murderous theological seed that Islam, in this one specific area, uprooted. So then I finally asked, in light of this fact, does the initial assumption make sense? Yes or no? That Muhammad is a false prophet. How does it make sense? Let's go and let's take a look at what the AI basically stated here. No. From ChatGPT, no. Within a Christian theology, blah, 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 blah. You can read this. No. And I want
This is so crazy. I can't believe he's using ChatGPT in unironically in a debate. Yeah, I should probably reiterate this again. I am not a spiritual guide. I am not a stand-in for your priest. I cannot answer your personal spiritual. I mean, I could answer your personal spiritual questions, but it would not be proper. You should go seek out somebody that actually. Thing is, I don't know all the personal circumstances around your life. I don't have all the facts, so I can. It's like the lawyer way around it, right? I can give you advice as a friend, but don't take it for any more than what it's worth, right? This guy's making Pikachu look like a genius. Yeah, he's literally using he literally is using ChatGPT in a debate, a formal debate.
I want you to, again, do it on your side so that there's no biasness at all.
Biasness.
So this is a good one from Gemini. No, at least not with.
He's using multiple AIs, guys. Look at that. We just got to take it's actually an argument from authority, right? Like, guys, look, the AI said it. It must be true. It's an appeal to authority fallacy. Who asks a lawyer about religious matters? Well, I mean, we do understand how arguments work. If you super chat Alex $1, you'll have privilege, though. Hey, you just need something to seal the deal, guys. Of course, that is a joke. You should not actually expect attorney-client privilege from a super chat. Not actually. Dang, I'm late. Collins later. Yeah. We're gonna I'll just run through the debate a little more. We'll get through the cross exams and then I'll open up the calls.
Within the framework that requires a perfect alignment of moral outcomes with divine origins. Okay? And let's go to Grok. No, this initial assumption does not make sense, as it creates an irreconcilable paradox where a purportedly satanic
Grok.
deception fosters peace by alleviating anti-Semitic stigma. Okay, it doesn't make sense. Now, that's just AI. It could be wrong. It could be wrong. That's what you're coming here for, Fearless Truth. You are going to tell us how AI, and of course, this whole argument where they got it wrong, because of course it could be wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong a lot. Sure, no problem.
Why is he calling him Fearless Truth? He's Nick. His name is Nick. This is so weird, dude. Hey, $1 from Compendium. Uh-oh. He wants privilege now. Attorney-client privilege. 1 pesos. Hey, what's up, Second Actuality? What's up? Chat stacked. This is so crazy. I can't believe he's unironically using AI in this debate to try to prove his point. It's a form of like an appeal to authority fallacy. Like, take my word for it. Look, the AI said so. Great example of AI using a human. It's a good point.
Who could be biased towards me? Explain this to us. How is, you asked about the crucifixion. This is why you should reject the crucifixion, because it is an evil, wicked, sinister story. Now, if you have any doubts about that, I will pay for your airfare. You're from
incredulity fallacy. I don't like it. It violates my sensibilities. I just don't believe anything they say, man, because of Takia. I don't believe it. It's all performative.
Well, I will pay you and give you 5-star accommodations. And we will go to any Jewish temple in this country, including the pro-Israeli ones, and they will all agree with me. They will say that story in your book is evil and wicked, and it needs to be purged. Judaism is unanimous.
$5 from Carlton Beltran 7268. I want more privilege than the last guy. Sadly, it does not correlate with the amount. But also, Muslim blaming Christians for violence is crazy, Cope. It is crazy, Cope. Just look at the history, man. We converted an empire by being killed, being martyred. They converted an empire by killing.
Up on that, by the way.
Thank
so this
you
is
for
not
the
just a
$5.
Nadir Ahmed argument. This is what has been endorsed by all of Judaism, as well as the Holocaust scholars.
So what? Appeal to authority.
This one evidence alone disproves,
Also, it's just not relevant to the prompt.
what you believe and proves Islam to be true. Okay, so I answered your contradicting previous prophets. The Quran is correcting the errors in your book. So one last point. I know what you're thinking. That it's the believers who are responsible for the Holocaust. No, it's the Bible responsible, because it introduced the idea. Introducing an idea while knowing it will likely cause harm or serious.
This is like an old man rambling at this point. How old is Nadir? Look, Nick made 3 very clear points: historical argument, continuity argument, logical argument. He didn't address a single one of those. He just talked. He just yapped.
Serious problems does create some degree of moral responsibility for foreseeable outcomes, true or false. Copy this and put it in your chat GPT or whatever, and it'll all say true. So there's no way you can absolve 100% responsibility from the sinister teachings of the New Testament. And this is why we say Islam is a religion of peace. So let's go back to one of the arguments I brought forth, that the whole issue about fetal alcohol syndrome. I've pointed out that that in its correction, do you remember those 3 scientifically correct statements? Do not drink alcohol. Alcohol exists in the veins. That was only discovered recently, like BAC, blood alcohol concentration. And the harm of it outweighs any good. In Muhammad, Islam's correction of the Bible.
Again, not necessarily true and also not relevant to the prompt.
It made 3 scientifically astonishingly correct statements. How does a mere human being do that? And is the Bible responsible for those fetal alcohol children? Yes. Yes. Because it administered a drug to a general population of people. So don't say stupid things like, well, the Bible didn't tell pregnant women to drink. It administered a drug to the general population, which included women and children, and it didn't warn them of the side effects. It didn't warn them that this is going to happen, that the bad things could happen. So now we can look at it from a legal perspective as well. The Bible does bear responsibility for administering this drug. Okay.
The Bible is not a person to bear responsibility. It's a book. You don't arrest a book. You don't put a book in jail. It's so crazy. Yeah. that's his whole opening and his whole rebuttal is objection relevance. How about introducing the idea of 70 tested women in return for self-deletion? Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. What are the social implications of that doctrine? How much harm did that doctrine bring about?
Okay, so there's no doubt at this point, from a scientific point of view, moral point of view, historical point of view, that Islam is the true religion. Now, I've only given you what I've given you in terms of the scientific evidence is just a drop in the bucket. There's a far more scientific evidence, but I feel like this is enough. I don't have time to really get into all of that, but there's more. So if you feel like, well, I need more evidence, that's no problem. I can go ahead and give you that. So the question I have for you then tonight,
Good
which is a
point.
part of the Christian dilemma, how do you explain an alleged false prophet saving millions of children from fetal alcohol syndrome, while the true Lord and Savior, which you believe in, let them perish? That doesn't make sense. It's like, I can give you an analogy. It's like a child is choking and Jesus is just watching him choke.
Can we get Christians to stop banning books? No. Some books are not appropriate. Yeah. What about the birth defects from the incest the Muslims take part in? Remember Wilson versus Pikachu, right? Still unrebutted, by the way, to this very day. That argument still stands. It's unrebutted.
And then Muhammad comes and, oh my God, what's going on? And rescues and saves the child. Explain that to us.
We're at
A false prophet doesn't do that. Go
we're
ahead.
at time. With that, we will switch it over to the rebuttal from Fearless Truth as well, and housekeeping stuff. Folks, if you didn't know, Modern Day Debate has a Discord. Check out that link in the description box, as well as I'm going to pin it at the top of the chat. Join 15,000 members in the Discord. Enter the debate arena via that.
Very excited to get into this rebuttal. So we had multiple statements. First of all, I'll start off. I wrote down all the notes on everything he said. Number one, he said I should have taken the time in my opening to respond to him. That's literally not what opening's for. You don't respond to people's opening in an opening. That's why I didn't respond, even if there was time left. That's simply not what you do. All you showed me was the scholars in the Holocaust and that it was evil and the Bible will cause this. But whether or not this thing was actually evil proves nothing about whether or not it is historical. Proves nothing. Even if it was completely and utterly evil, well, guess what? First of all, that's subjective. We have to prove objective epistemology and morals and ethics first.
He could hammer this point a lot more here to make Nadir look like he doesn't know what he's talking about. Dude, oh, super chats, you guys. $10 from Brady. The super chatter throws this back on him later because according to Islam, Allah made it appear as the Jews crucified Jesus, thus making Allah guilty of the Shmolocaust. Thank you for the $10. And we got 100 Australian from Sincere Hypocrite. Thank you very much, dude. 100. Thank you. And the second, like it, is this. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. Mark 12:31. How this guy can say Christianity preaches hate is wild. Lord have mercy. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's just totally absurd. Utterly absurd. To do the cleave scream for the 100. Thank you for the very generous super chat, guys. I appreciate that very much. Alex is becoming rich. I mean, we have expenses, Part of life, right? Yeah. Thanks again, Sincere Hypocrite. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Understanding who Christ really is love. And God is love, right? Dumitru Saint Staniloae talks about that all the time. That's like his big thing. In the beginning, there was love. So, yeah, Nick could hammer this home a lot more here just to destroy Nadir's credibility. He I would probably do so. He literally opened, guys, with a formal fallacy. The first thing out of his mouth was a formal fallacy. Just because bad thing happened doesn't mean that this is untrue. All right? That's literally what the argument is. Then you bring it down to most simple, obvious way, right? That's why I say Andrew is so good at debates because he can do what I just did and just probably even better than I can in some situations where he conveys the point in such simple, absurd language that it's impossible to avoid seeing how absurd it is what the other guy is saying, right? If we could throw books in jail, I'd give the Quran a life sentence. I mean, yeah. Nick does say it later, yes, but I'm saying like he said it right now, and I'm saying he can drill it down even harder. So he's obviously doing a good job. I'm just like splitting hairs to find something to critique, right? We watch these so that we can improve ourselves in rhetoric and communication. So yeah, Nick, the content is all there. But this goes for every single debater, is that we can always use simpler language. We can always boil things down more. We can always be more rhetorically engaging. Right? So this is not I'm not knocking on Nick over here. Saying like for me too. Like I think even between I learned things from my debate with Yassi. I learned things from my debate with Aaron, and I'm like tweaking, making little adjustments as I go, trying to get better. It's a process.
And secondly, it has nothing to do with whether or not it actually happened. Also, you said Islam uprooted the hatred for Jews, which is interesting because if you actually read Sahih Bukhari 29:26, it says the hour will not be established until you fight with the Jews. And the stone behind which a Jew is hiding will say, "Oh, Muslim, there's a Jew hiding behind me, so kill him." So interesting that Islam uproots the hatred for Jews.
Again, I think he could again deliver this with a lot more oomph behind it and be like, your own hadith say that if a Jew is hiding behind a rock, go get him. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you can phrase it as more to expose the absurdity behind what he's saying, right? Just pointing the. I just waste an hour of my life listening to a Canadian. I mean, I have an American passport, born in America. So I'm actually technically not a Canadian because I'm not a citizen of Canada. I'm just a permanent resident here.
But it literally says the hour that you get to heaven won't come until you go and fight the Jews. So who's really inciting violence on Jews here? It seems like Islam. He gave up whether or not that the fact that Muhammad gave better answers in the Bible means it's from God, but whether or not Muhammad.
Greetings on Twitch. I'm tweaking phrasing. Yeah, I know. Gonna get clipped. Alex, up and coming Orthodox apologist, confesses to drug problems on live stream. Bada bing, bada boom. There you go. I'm done. I'm done for. I'm over.
Gave better answers has nothing to do with whether or not that it's from God. He could give all the better answers. Guess what? It doesn't mean that Islam's from God. He brought up quotes from Yad Vashem's YouTube, a Jewish Holocaust program, saying the Jews didn't do what the Bible said. No, duh. It's literally a Jewish YouTube Holocaust channel based in Jerusalem. Of course, they're going to defend Jews and say it didn't actually happen. Wow, I am shocked, guys. Who would have guessed that? Also, he brought the fact that Muhammad brought Jews peace. That's fine, even if he brought them peace, because according to Islam, there will be a time where they will fight with them, so that's not going to last forever. He said the alcohol harm outweighs the benefit. Well, first of all, this is subjective. Whether or not something's harm outweighs the benefit is entirely subjective on the individual and what they.
That's a good point. It is subjective. It's also just wrong because, like I pointed out, there are fermented drinks like kombucha that is good for you, especially if you have gut problems. Father Stephen says Nadir is Dr. Hugo Strange. If you know, you know. I have to. This one, like growing up with foreign parents, I get exposed because I don't catch all the cultural references. Oh my gosh, this is from Batman. He does look like this. He does look like this guy, kind of. I gotta hold on. He does kind of look like that guy. That's funny. Yeah. Somebody said it was a comment I wanted to pull up. It said something like Nick could have been more rhetorically mean. It's not being mean. It's just remember, like, you're not talking to your opponent, you're talking to the jury, you're talking to the audience. So like, it's not about being rhetorically mean. It's about making it simple to understand for the audience and conveying also in your tone of voice. This is important. Look at what he just did. The first thing out of his mouth was a logical error, right? It's not even being theatrical or performative. It's just showing that you really believe your position, that you have conviction of it. Like, I remember the Roman Catholics were calling me theatrical and stuff. It's like, no, dude, this is what it looks like when you just genuinely believe in something and are like actually flabbergasted at some of the reasoning that other people use. has nothing to do with theatrics. Like it'll, if you are theatrical, people are not that, people are not generally that lost to not pick up on somebody who's like a con, right? People do have that general awareness to be like, this guy's a liar. I have a bad feeling about this guy. He's a con man. He doesn't actually believe what he's saying. You have to believe what you're saying. And then like that will come naturally through your questioning and through your presentation that you genuinely care about this thing that you're arguing about. You want to convey the absurdity of the opposition. Yes, exactly. And you can also say that, like, you see, my opponent here, he did make a mistake. If you look at, it actually doesn't follow. There is a formal fallacy here. You just be like, hey, he messed up, like big time. It's a formal fallacy. He should know this. Right? There's the difference. Like, you're saying the same thing, but one is persuasive and one is not.
They consider to be a better benefit than a harm. So how on earth can this prove this from God if it's a subjective claim? There's no way it can. Also, it depends on the alcohol. It says, oh, you cannot drink any alcohol, but there are plenty of alcohols that...
You know who's good at this? Actually, Father Stephen is good at, like, all these things that I'm pointing out. Father Stephen's really good at that. It also comes with like mastery of the material. Like, you see that in the maybe I'll pull up that clip he had with the Calvinist pastor after this debate. Like, that's a good example of how to use rhetoric.
That we could say actually that the positives outweigh the negatives. For example, champagne. If we actually read when we talk about, for example, MayoClinic.org is one of them, where it talks about how champagne is one of the best alcohols to actually have, and it has a lot of benefits, and it does not have any added risk. It says, and I quote, overall research suggests.
In the Supreme Court, they do. Dude, look up the Canadians. I'll show you. The Canadian Supreme Court. They look like a bunch of Santa Clauses. It's like pretty ridiculous. Like what their official garb is. If you guys haven't seen it before, you're about to be shocked. All right, here we go. I'm not joking. This is literally their official garb. That's funny. More proof that Canada is fake and Skittles. Yeah, that's so ridiculous, dude.
Just that those who drink regular limited amounts of alcohol, including red wine, seem to have no added risk or even a lower risk of heart disease, stroke, sudden death, possibly heart failure, etc. And so this has absolutely no bearing on whether or not it's from God either.
I feel like Nick is doing himself a disservice by actually addressing what Nadir said. I wouldn't even bother here addressing what he said. Counselor, you're out of order. Do you take shots of Palinka between Negronis? I would probably die if I did that. Palinka is it's like a Romanian plum brandy or moonshine. That's the stuff that'll make a man out of you in the old country. But yeah, I do have a little stash of Palinka, right? Like directly from the old country. Have a little stash for special occasions. So otherwise it'll just burn a hole in my stomach. But yeah, what Nick is doing here, I wouldn't even address what Nadir said. I would just talk about other things that make him look stupid. Not him. That make his worldview look stupid. I'll talk about other things that make Islam look stupid. And I would reiterate that I kept it so simple, guys. I made 3 points: a historical argument, a continuity argument, a logical argument. All he's talking about is alcohol and the Holocaust. I have no idea what he's saying. I'll bet you guys also can't follow what he's saying because he doesn't know what he's saying. And you just make him look like a goober. That would be the best benefit to your client, right? Hey, Alex, I finally got the OSB. It's the hardcover from Amazon, but at least I have one now. Yeah, the notes, I think, are generally helpful, and then combine that with the whole Council of God podcast that Father Stephen does, he walks you verse by verse through the Bible.
Oh, he said this, in which I wrote down verbatim is what he said. This was hilarious. He said, only a God can make 3 scientifically correct statements. And I quote, okay, then the owner
Yeah, we all caught that in the chat too. That was utterly ridiculous. I can't believe he said that.
of the Edwin Smith papyrus, the author of that, must be from God. Guess what, guys? The owner of that papyrus must be from God, because he very clearly made 3 scientifically correct statements, and we can't find any incorrect statements in there. So guess what, guys? We have a new prophet, and that's just one. Imagine all the others. So guys, we have brand new prophets every day. This is amazing. He brought up hand washing.
That's I think that was a good rhetorical use there from Nick. If we use Nadir standards, we have new prophets every single day. There are hundreds and thousands of new prophets. They're all over the place.
Yeah, everyone knew hand washing was good. The point of Jesus bringing that up as to why he didn't believe it was good was saying that it didn't need to be done as a ritual practice. It didn't need to be done as a tradition. Not that it shouldn't be done at all, but it needed to be done as a ritual. But whether or not he got that wrong still doesn't make the Quran true. Also, he said, he talked about how there was errors in our book. Well, if there's errors in our book, how do you know that the prophet was actually in continuity? You say you know the prophet was in continuity. Well, I rebuttal and ask.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. So if there's errors in our book, then how do you know if you're in continuity? Again, it begs the question. It's he's bringing the Islamic dilemma upon himself.
How on earth do you know that the prophet was truly in continuity if there was errors? Which parts do you side were true? Which do you decide was false, etc.? We have literally no clue. So again, to kind of go back to everything that we've already said, we have him saying things are scientifically true. Again, those things are, a lot of them are just subjective in the first place, so it doesn't matter. Number 2, he's bringing up Jews to say that the Jews didn't have the Holocaust. No, duh, of course they're going to.
I think that's how you address that. You say, duh, the Jews are not going to like Jesus. Duh.
Say that he didn't bring up any sort of actual historical source showing that the Jews didn't kill Jesus. Not one, not a single historical source. All he brought was people today, like Jews, saying it didn't happen. And so, yeah, so I think that we've seen no real evidence yet that the Islam is truly from God. And hopefully in the cross exam, we can see some better things.
This is what like Father Stephen said about my debate with Yassi, and that like the burden is so high on Nadir that he lost on paper. He lost in his opening because he just didn't. You have to make a positive case in your opening, and he didn't do that, like by classical debate standards. So
You got it. We will go into the cross exams indeed. So these will be 15 minutes apiece. Quick housekeeping note. If you haven't checked it out yet, folks, check out the Modern Day Debate Facebook page where you can find juicy clips from all these debates. I'm going to link that at the top of the chat and it's in the description box. But the timer is set for 15 minutes. This is meant to be intentional. In other words, each person getting their 15 minutes to ask the person questions. The other person who's answering the questions is meant to only answer. So they're not meant to ask a question back. With that, Nadir will give you a chance to cross-examine Nick, aka For the Truth.
Okay, I need to confront you on some of your misinformation. Actually, all of it was misinformation. You said some very stupid things, and I'm going to share my screen here for you, okay? Because it was a misrepresentation of what science says. I'm going to quote for you this article over here. This is from CNN. No amount of alcohol is good for your overall health, global study says. Do you not?
okay, this is narrative though. He's supposed to ask in cross-exam. He's supposed to ask a question, right? So it's okay to like have those little asides, like how he opened. Like, by the way, Nick, everything you just said is very stupid. Like, he's wrong in the substance, but like that strategy is fine. He's just got to follow it up with a question. This is not a question. He's going into narrative here.
Not read. I read this to you, and it seems like it just went over your head. Many studies have shown that the overall health risk of drinking alcohol outweighs any benefits.
At this point, I would be jumping in. If I was Nick, I would be calling in the moderator at this point. I'd be like, is there a question on the table? This is not an opportunity for you to reestablish your arguments. Like, where's the question? Like I said, a cross-examination ideally would be question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. And then when you get an answer that helps you, you double down and you make it a point with rhetoric. So again, this is not good because it's another opportunity for him to make his points. So if I was Nick, I would interrupt him at this point. Is there a question? And then if he continues to do this, then I would call in the moderator. Because again, like, you don't want to invoke the moderator unless it's necessary. Hey, Warren, what's up, dude? We're talking about why Nadir's cross-examination is bad at this time. He's not asking a question. It's just all narrative. And I said that at this point, I would probably start complaining. Because we're like, what?
representation of what science says. I'm going to quote, I'm going to share my screen here for you. Okay, your misinformation. Actually, all of it was misinformation. Many studies have agreement with what we see in the.
We're 35 seconds into his cross-examination, and he hasn't asked the question yet.
That the overall harm outweighs. Next question, which I have for you. Do you understand that?
No, I disagree.
Yeah, so that's kind of a cop-out. So that's not even a leading question. Like, lawyers will say questions like, oh, that's funny. I will address this in a second. Lawyers will ask leading questions, right? So, isn't it true, Mr. So-and-so, that on this date you went here and you did this thing, right? That's a leading question. What Nadir is doing here is narrative. That's not a leading question. He's like telling a whole story, and then he's like, isn't that understanding true? Right? It's so stupid. Bring up Quine and the underdetermination of data to this goober, and he's lost. Yeah, if you guys, that's an important essay to read. I think that's in the Bonjour epistemology book. He talks about it. But Marco, okay, when you told Aaron in the cross that he did that, and he said you did it in yours, you made me laugh, and you said, "Well, I'm calling you out on." That's the thing. Okay, if nobody complains about it, it's not a problem, right? If you're not complaining about it, you're consenting to it. There's implied consent in the law. That might be scandalous these days, but there is an idea of implied consent. But yeah, that's what I was thinking there when I started complaining about his narrative at the end, because I had a narrative at mine at the end too, which is technically improper, yes, but nobody complained about it. He didn't say anything about it, so whatever. And then when he said that I had narrative in mine when I complained about narrative in his, it's like, yeah, well, I'm complaining about it. So even though we did the same thing. So yes, I had unclean hands in this interaction. You are correct, Marco. That was a strategic move I made.
And I think
okay,
that
too stupid. Let's go to the next point. So the next question, which I have for you, is, I've pointed out, you try to point out to something about Edwin Smith's papyrus. I don't know what he wrote here, but the issue which I'm challenging you here is on one correction. Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, made 3 scientifically correct statements.
I just want to be sure
blood in the veins.
Nadir.
Yeah. So my question, how can a mere human being, in correcting an issue, make 3 scientifically correct statements without?
Say the moderator was catching on to it. For me, I would not want the moderator to interfere at this point. For the moderator, like, if I want the moderator to interfere, I'll ask him. Because like I have a plan, I have a strategy of like how I'm going to attack this cross-examination, even when I am being cross-examined. So I don't want them to interfere unless I ask them to. What time is it there? Aren't you on Sunday? It's 11 p.m. for me. Objection relevance. Yeah, none of this has to do with whether Islam is true, by the way. That's like, I think we can say that's true across the board for this entire debate, that Nadir didn't do anything to address the actual prompt. No, I'm Eastern time. I'm EST. So then I guess it would be whatever, midnight for me. I don't know. If you're a Muslim, your hands would be clean. Yeah, I had unclean hands in that complaint against Aaron. I just thought it was funny. It's just a playful back and forth, whatever. The rules are the rules. You have to use the rules to help you. Everybody else will. You're kind of dumb if you don't.
Out, making an error. Go ahead.
Yes, the same way that the author of the Edwin Smith papyrus.
Okay, show it to us. Just don't make claims. Show it to us. What are you talking about?
Yes. Yeah, so the Edwin Smith papyrus, it was authored by someone.
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks to when Yassi told me to pull up that very uncontroversial conclusion from Dvornik when I was cross-examining him about the 8th Ecumenical Council, and he was, I'm going to need to see the primary source. Like, are you for real, dog? Are you for real? That's kind of what Nadir is doing here. Like, this is not controversial, what Nick is saying.
I went around 800.
No, share your screen. Don't just tell a story. Share your screen and show us what you're talking about.
Nadir, I do want to give him a chance to answer.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can pull it up, I guess, but yeah,
you need to.
Okay, sure. The Edwin Smith papyrus is basically something that was authored way back in the day, and it is something in which they talked about how the different bone structures are.
Okay, I don't have time for this. So if you don't have the evidence ready to share, then let's move on.
I gave you the Edwin Smith papyrus.
That's silly. But the issue.
What he instead of asking questions, he used narrative, or he was like bogging you down for sources. What was it? I was born in Romania. Yeah, that song bops. Source shock. Yeah. Well, because like some things are not controversial, right? Oh, what's your source? Yeah. Yeah, dude, that's the most low tier. That actually bugs me when people do that. That gets under my skin a little bit. It's like, this is not in dispute. It just shows they don't even know the basics about this subject. They don't know the facts that are disputed and the facts that are not. You don't need sources for uncontroversial statements. Like, whether you know it's controversial or not, might be a problem with you. It sounds like a skill issue. Question, I know it's very low for priority, but do I leave this dust jacket on the OSB or take it off? I leave mine on. Yeah, this is a horrible cross-examination. It's just narrative. He was arguing ancestral sin was distinct from original sin and entailed infant guilt. So he is not familiar with the conversation. That's what it sounds like. Maybe we can react to that one of these days. My next stream, maybe.
Tonight, where I think you have failed tonight. Remember, I was showing you the criteria. I mean, for you to win this debate, really, you got to show. Remember the check mark I showed how Islam did a better job. You are not able to show no. The answers on alcohol are not better. The challenge I presented to you is okay. Let's take it. Pretend there's a time.
Nadir is just so moronically confident that does a lot of the carrying for him in terms of optics. That he'll just say utter nonsense confidently. There's my compliment, I guess.
When we don't know about FAS and what the effects it has to children before 1972, the answer which Islam gave that you shouldn't drink any alcohol at all if the people don't know about this stuff. So I'm going to challenge you right now. Explain to me how from a scientific point of view, how the Bible's answer is better than the Christian answer. Go ahead.
I wouldn't answer that question. I would be like, that's not relevant, dude. I told you that all the historical sources disagree with your Quran. You're not in continuity with the prophets. You can't even have continuity when you're saying that my book is wrong, you dummy. Like, hello. Nick needs to just cut through the evidentialist BS. Yeah, dude, we're not here to talk about science. I agree with you, actuality. He's got to go back to the topic. Like, in a way, because Nadir has gone so far off topic in the cross exam, Nick can take control of this of Nadir's cross. And so I think that's probably an opportunity he can double down on next time when he sees something like this. Thing is, when you go into a formal debate, you don't know what the other guy is going to do all the time, right? Alex, will you debate Nadir soon? Absolutely not. I would lose my mind. I'd be like, what are you talking about? Everybody would be like, Alex is crashing out. He got like, no, I'm not. I'm just gobsmacked at the level of these debaters sometimes.
Yeah, whether or not the Bible was better than the Islamic answer doesn't make Islam true. If I
so you were not able to. Okay, so we have seen that you have conceded that the Islamic answer on alcohol is a better answer.
How does that prove it's from God?
Okay, so but
it's a good question.
Whether you can draw the conclusion of whether it can be from God or not, we can talk about that.
Like, the article also has the same conclusion that Nadir is asserting about alcohol. Is that article now from God? Alex, would you ever debate Junior? I mean, didn't he already get obliterated by both Nick and God Logic? Again, they're just so they're very low tier. Like, basic blunders from all of them. Very basic blunders. Dude, I forgot. I missed the super chat. I'm sorry. $4.99 from St. Gregory Tamales. Our struggle during Lent is not against chips and salsa, but against the temptation of abuela's fresh carnitas. St. Gregory Tamales. Yes. Avoid the pagans. St. Gregory Tamales. Thank you for the super chat, guys.
That later, but also
that's the point of the debate.
Okay, we'll sum what I'm pointing. I'll sum it up in just a second here. So now going back to your misinformation, as I pointed out, I quoted to you the American Holocaust Museum, Yad Vashem, and every Holocaust scholar has talked about 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 16, that this verse is responsible for creating hatred and malice toward the Jewish people, which
has nothing to do with whether it's true. Like, I don't get how he doesn't see this. I still have people on Twitter saying, okay, Alex, that's great. Orthodoxy, the Roman Catholics disagree. As if this is supposed to mean something. I think Junior might be paid because there's no one that idiotic. I mean, he says some very absurd things. And it's like the same stuff that's debunked over and over again. Either that or he's just a performative grifter.
basically led to the Holocaust. So in response to the Holocaust scholars, and I pointed out, how could a loving God write something so evil?
This would be my patron saint. I love the double, triple entendres there, Warren.
In his book. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I don't think that just because something is evil makes it false. I agree. I think that this happened. Now, what happens from this, right, is based on the people after it. But all that's happening is they're writing down historical fact. There's no issue with that.
Oh, they're just writing down historical facts. It just happened to kill 6 million Jews. That's your response?
Yeah, so just because they...
like,
Bro, I would lose it if I was Nick here. I would lose my mind. I'd be like, so that's your argument? 6 million Jews? You'd probably come back, pull the Nick Fuentes and be like, no, it's 100 million Jews. Don't you know? This is so crazy. I can't believe these people have followings.
my
Because
God.
people do a
I
bad
know
thing.
the 6 million Jew fact. Yeah.
I want to give
it's
you a chance.
historical.
I want to get you supposed to be questions.
Okay, go ahead, dummy.
Okay, yeah. Just because people do bad things because of a historical fact doesn't make the historical fact false.
But introducing an
What was that? Like, your argument doesn't make sense. It's not sound. It is invalid. Just going to casually say,
idea, while knowing it will likely cause harm or serious problems, does create some some degree of moral responsibility for the foreseeable outcomes, true or false.
Yeah, I feel so. One of the most powerful tools in our lawyerly profession is the so what defense. It's basically an indirect way to challenge relevance. Right? I feel like this entire, no matter what Nadir says, you can just say, so what? For this entire thing. So what? Make the connection, make it relevant. None of it's relevant.
Yes, absolutely. And that doesn't
And
make
the
it
Bible
historically
is
false.
responsible for the death of 6 million Jews. Thank you.
Does that make it historical? Wait, what?
Again, that's like saying guns kill people. Assuming all his premises are true, which they're not. Even if we give it to him, it's like saying guns kill people, not people kill people. Like, the Bible is a book. Dude.
Did that make it historically false?
Well, the problem, well, we can now ask the question. Now, you wanted historical evidence. I'll give you historical evidence when you cross-examine me, if that's really your issue here. But so it's like
One of his arguments is a historical argument. Like, he's saying your religion is ahistorical. That's one reason why it's not the true religion. Like, it's so crazy, dude. He's going to talk about Islam true, and he doesn't want to talk about the historicity of his religion. That's like, maybe he knew this would be like the actual Muslim position is indefensible. So he's like, I'm just going to talk about everything except Islam.
the question which the AI was not able to resolve. This premise about Muhammad being a false prophet, it doesn't make sense. Grok, AI, I'm going to give you an opportunity because that's just what AI is saying. I said, is this premise true? If we make the assumption Muhammad is a false prophet of Satan, and the Quran explicitly stated that the Jews did not kill Jesus, thus removing the stigma of theological hostility. So this doesn't make any sense. How do you explain an alleged false prophet, bringing peace into this world while the true, religion brought so much hatred and malice into the world? How do you explain that?
And so this question is so compound and convoluted that you don't even answer this. You just say, that doesn't make... You kind of make sense. You make fun of him a little bit. You say, that doesn't even make any sense, Nadir. What are you talking about? What I said was you have no historical continuity. No, you still haven't addressed any of my 3 points. I made only 3 points, just 3 points. You haven't addressed even one. And that's what you do. $10 from Octavian. Thank you very much. He practiced arguing against preteen female first cousins with more familial... They're probably very, very close female first cousins, right? Very, very close. You could have just said he was arguing against his girlfriends. Uh-oh. Is that offensive? If banning alcohol makes a religion true, he might like Southern Pentecostals. Yeah. It's a good point. There are a lot of religions that don't consume alcohol. Has nothing to do with the truth or falsity of that religion.
Oh, I don't think he did. I think when you actually look at the hadith, such as the one I read, he literally says we won't even have judgment day until...
No, that hadith had nothing to do with what I'm asking you. Now, you just said, oh, I don't think it did. I have just shown you the Holocaust Memorial. I've shown you Yad Vashem, every Holocaust scholar.
Wait, this is still Nadir's cross-examination, right? He's supposed to be asking questions. Again, this is just narrative. Is this guy even Muslim or just an SJW normie? He might be an SJW normie, bro.
has
bunch of
made
Jews.
it very clear. So my question to you is, are you going to reject all the historians while you're going to accept the so-called history for the crucifixion?
Yeah, the only thing that you've done is show me Jews.
What's this snickering, dude? I would lose it. I'd be like, what's with the performative snickering? Why are you laughing? You should be crying because of how poorly you've been doing, Nadir. You should not be laughing.
Jews defending Jews. Jewish sites.
They are
such
not
as
Jews
Yad Vashem.
defending Jews. I'm quoting for you the culminate. Again, you're misunderstanding
Jews?
evidence. Okay, you're misunderstanding the evidence which is being presented to you. This is not because
Nadir doesn't know anything about evidence and different types of evidences, as evidenced by this entire interaction.
Jews said so. Okay, keep that anti-Semitism to yourself. I'm quoting the American Holocaust
I need you to-
Museum, which is a culmination of all academic scholars, whether Jew or Gentile, and they all, not just Jews, they all say that it was this verse
need you to ask
which
your
caused the
question, Nadir.
Holocaust. Do you understand this is not just Jews?
Yeah, the moderator is saying I need you to ask a question. I mean, I think because at this point, maybe Nick has a strategy to just let Nadir make himself look like an idiot. And at that point, he wouldn't want the moderator to engage. But told you, Alex, he is Mossad. It seems that way. He's got mixed priorities here. Yeah, it is. It is. It's the weird idea of like what is good and what is bad. Like they know all these things they're not supposed to do, like feel good. It's like a weird tribal nomadic way of looking at right and wrong. So hey, thanks for checking in, Chief. Appreciate that. Yeah, I don't like moderators jumping into the debate unless I ask them to. Generally, I think they shouldn't because you don't know what the strategy of the interlocutors is.
Which source have you given that isn't run by Jews?
Okay, can I share my screen? Oh, did you guys hear that noise? Hey guys, okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay, did you guys hear that?
You can't find a quiet place for 50 minutes or an hour to do a formal debate, like
That noise in the background?
No.
I apologize if you did. Yeah, let me go ahead and share my screen real quick here. I got sidetracked by all the commotion in the background here. So yeah, I quoted the American Holocaust Memorial. I quoted Yad Vashem. These are the two sources that I quoted. Did you want me to share that reference with you again?
Sure, you can do the United States Holocaust one. It's fine.
Okay.
oh, let's give him this point. He hasn't earned it. He hasn't demonstrated it. He hasn't proved it by any means. But let's say that, yes, the Bible was a motivating factor for the Holocaust. Let's say that it was. What on earth does that have to do with the prompt? Absolutely nothing.
I wish you were paying attention when I first basically presented to you. Okay, so
I mean, just saying
here
if
you
you
go.
want. I'm saying you can show it again. It's up to you. I don't care.
Yeah, pod. Let me get there. Okay, let me share my screen here. Okay, I'm quoting for you. Blah 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 blah. Yad Vashem, we did that one. But they're Jews. That's why it's wrong. Here we go. This is the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. It states right here, the false charge that the Jews killed Jesus. Hey, they're agreeing with the Quran. I love it. Which reinforced in official Christian teaching. These are the roots of anti-Semitism. I also wanted to share with you, and now this is the Anne Frank. Let me go to Anne Frank. Anne Frank Foundation. Again, this is from Anne Frank. I know this is really small. Let me make this a bit bigger. It says here, Christians saw the Jewish faith as an aberration that needs to be squashed, and Jews were sometimes forced to. I can't even find my reference here. Never mind. Okay, so there you go. I quoted the United States Holocaust for Memorial Museum, but I also want to quote for you another good source here, or bad source, however you want to look at it. That is Adolf Hitler himself. He quoted First Thessalonians.
Yeah, this is narrative. It's all narrative. He doesn't even know how to cross-examine somebody, dude. These are the people in the comments saying that I'm too mean, that I'm interrupting, that I don't know how to like, I'm literally a licensed cross-examiner. Like, what on earth? Yeah, he wasted his entire cross. That's a perfect example of what not to do. He checked all the boxes of what not to do.
Here, this isn't meant to be. So
Okay.
he asked you what your sources.
Can you
were that
please
were-
correct? Will you correct yourself when you say it's only Jewish people who say this?
No, my entire point is just because people say that it's wrong what happened and that they use the Bible verses for this. Well, guess what? A lot of the times people use, for example, the slave Bible, right? To say that, okay, slavery is okay. Just because people use text in a wrong way doesn't make the text themselves
They're
wrong.
not using the text in the wrong way. It's inciting hatred and anger in them.
I do
hatred
need
and anger
to-
in them.
These are meant
Yeah.
to be questions, Nadir. Man, so this is how it works. Like a question would be like, so
Oh,
where
I'm
did you
sorry.
find that source? And then they answer, and then you say,
Okay.
okay, and what year is it from? Like that.
Okay, so this is something. Do you understand? This is a culmination of all Holocaust
Okay,
scholars and
Nadir,
academics.
one thing is,
Yeah.
to just say something, and then
I think that was a proper question. You can do leading questions on cross. I think Dr. James Coons is wrong about that. Everything before that question was improper, but that question itself, I think that question itself was fine.
to just say afterwards, do you understand this is true? Is like, it's a gray line where you're just taking a minute to make your case, and then you're saying, do you understand that to be true?
Okay.
It's meant to kind of cross-examine him, to put him in the pressure seat.
Okay, so let me see what else. So the question, I guess my question for you, James, real quick, is what kind of I'm a little bit confused in terms of what kind of questions I should be asking.
Yeah, that's why this is right, Infidel. Even if we grant Christianity is false, that doesn't make Islam true by default. That's why if Nadir is going to take this approach of just attacking Christianity, he still has to set out, like, whatever strategy he has to set out his positive case first. That's when you look at my debate with Aaron, spent my entire opening until like the last 30 seconds, spent like 13 minutes, 14 minutes setting out my positive case. That's your job. I think even if you're in the negative, you should set out an affirmative case. Nadir speaking on this is a total waste of time. Yeah, he doesn't understand what the issue is. He's just beating around the bush. You are totally right. You are correct.
So I've noticed a pattern where it's commonly you'll kind of repackage what you said maybe in a previous statement, and then you'll go, do you understand that this is true? And it's kind of it's okay if you.
I mean, that's fine. You're allowed to use leading questions in a YouTube cross-examination, but it's just when he has really long narratives. Alex, do you even know how to ask questions, bro? Apparently not, I guess. The anime PFPs on X know better than I do is how to cross-examine. They're telling me how to cross-examine people and how to ask questions.
As long as you give them plenty of time to respond, but usually a cross-exam would be where you're kind of trying to pin him down on something, but we'll give you a chance.
Okay, I'll ask another question. There is a hadith which says, which the final, the final day will not come until the Muslims fight the Jews, until they're like hiding behind a bush and the Jew cries out, there's a Jew hiding behind me. Beautiful passage. This is my question for you is, when you look through the historical references, can you show me any instance?
Yeah, so that's a totally proper way of framing a question that Nadir did right there. But I think Dr. Coons is like he's on defense. So he's kind of looking for it now because there was so much narrative earlier on. He's being he has a heightened scrutiny against Nadir's form of the question, because it's not a question, it's narrative.
Of any of this teaching called inciting hatred, which leads to violence or anger against the Jewish people. Can you show me one example of that?
No, I'm saying I think this is the historical reference that is saying that one day there will be inciting violence. Yes, absolutely.
Is that the second coming of Christ? So it'll be God who will be judging them, right?
No, this isn't saying God's going to be killing them. This is saying that people will be.
You are obviously ignorant of the fact that this is a messianic prophecy.
Okay, so again, that's not a question. Trying to explain that I'm ignorant of it. All this idiot did was bring up the Holocaust. Yeah. Why is there a fight between people in OCA and other Asian Orthodox? They all say that Oriental is not correct. What's wrong with the Oriental churches? Oh, buddy. You are missing out on a, like, 1600-ish, 15 to 1600-year-old conversation. Eastern to Asian. Is there a fight between other people in the OCA and other Eastern Orthodox and they all say that Oriental is not correct? They are not correct. They don't accept the Chalcedonian definition in Christology. Yeah. David Erhan has explained this ad nauseum. They're not Orthodox.
This is when Jesus comes back in his next life, and that's what we say is that, when God comes, he will, or when his messenger comes, he will judge the Jews. So I guess my question for you is, when you look through the Quran and Hadith, you will never find any verse of the Quran which incited hatred, violence against. Of course, you can never say.
Oh shoot! I accidentally closed it, dude. What? He just said you never find anything in the Quran or the Hadith inciting violence. That is absurd. Can't believe he said that. Yeah, he is lost, dude. He stated his own conclusion instead of the question. Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't know how to cross-examine. He's a bad cross-examiner. He's very bad. Very, very bad. Horrible.
I don't know why.
Showing him
Yeah. Anyway, you guys want to see an example of very good rhetoric so that we can like cleanse our palates a little bit from this, and then we'll open it up to Collins. Let me show you guys in a non-formal setting a very, very good example of rhetoric.
You're gonna make You're gonna make me do this?
Yeah, like
It's the
can't offer it.
tonight. And more people keep joining. To
It's just a
tell me
line of
that I
rakes.
stepped on the
A line of rakes.
Okay, Father Stephen, I have to ask: were you actually a CRC minister or not?
So I was licensed but not ordained.
I have
Seriously,
no
people
idea.
know what that means.
Okay.
Meaning
Okay.
he
Awkward silence.
could preach, but he couldn't raise his hands in blessing.
Yes, I had to keep my hands down.
That's right.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's weird.
Welcome, Father Stephen.
Does this guy have Yu-Gi-Oh cards on in the background? What is that? I can't even make out what those are.
So, yeah,
Why are you making it hard for Calvinists to convert?
I make it very easy.
He's
for
Eastern
Calvinists to
Orthodox.
convert
He's
to
Antiochian. Yes.
I'll roll out the red carpet for you, my friend. As you are, I once was. As I am, you may someday be. So,
Aha, that's right.
Colloquialisms are powerful, by the way. If you can use colloquialisms, use them. Looks like Magic the Gathering, yeah.
Yes.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to be mean.
Oh.
Good qualifier to start.
And you'd think when the Christian guy showed up, he'd be on your side.
That's fine. I'm always willing to be instructed.
Yeah. Well,
To
it
a
was
certain extent.
when you said that it was mainly a semantic thing between us and the West on atonement.
I think he knows Federecci well, actually. Well, yeah, that way that's like the CYA policy, right?
And
Yeah.
it's not.
Okay.
Yeah. And this also isn't
But you
fair
do
because
believe
I
in
think-
a substitutionary atonement, obviously.
I don't even know that I would say that.
Really
Yeah.
interesting.
That's part of why this isn't fair is I did my PhD dissertation on atonement in 1 John 2 verse 2.
So gravitas. He's gonna slam this guy here. Like, by the way, this was the topic of my PhD dissertation. So he's establishing his bona fides. Like, I am a qualified person to talk about this subject because it seems like sometimes you have to be able to just say things. And this, like, when he uses his expertise later on, he already has built the foundation here, right?
Too. So I've done a ludicrously detailed study of this stuff.
I've read about a fifth of your dissertation.
I'm impressed that you got that far.
Father Stephen writes faster than I can read.
I'm just curious. What's your take then on the passage of scripture that says, God made him to be sin who knew no sin, so that we might become the righteousness of God?
It's like a standard PSA passage. Look at how eloquently Father Stephen diffuses this.
Yeah. Well, as early as at least St. Cyril of Alexandria St. Cyril pointed out, St. Cyril is one of the best church fathers actually on the Christian Old Testament tradition, because he still had lively contacts with the Jewish community in Alexandria. Pointed out that what's translated there is just to be sin, is actually, that's the phrasing that's used in the Greek translation of the Torah for a sin offering. And
Right.
so it made he who was without sin to be a sin offering is how that should be read.
Yeah, but what do we understand? But I guess my question is, but what do you understand?
Okay. This guy, he just runs from that verse. He has nothing to say in response to discuss that verse, right? Because that's just, there's a certain, again, like when I argue apostolic succession, I talk about the cultural milieu. Like there's only one way to understand these phrases, with one reasonable way to understand these phrases that people would have understood them at the time. So Father Stephen is saying that the only way to understand he who knew no sin was made sin, the only way a reasonable person would understand that would be as a sin offering, right?
Is going on, I guess, in that Torah,
It's sin offerings?
in the sin offering, like, because now I know there are some people who argue that partly what's going on in those offerings is that when the hands are laid upon the animal,
Citation needed.
yeah, okay, you're gonna make me.
That's a great leading question, because Father Stephen knows the answer to this question already, right? There is no citation that helps him. There is no citation that helps our friend Cedric Parcels. It's an excellent way to direct the conversation where he wants it to go.
Do this?
Yeah. Because a lot of sin offerings aren't even animals, they're wheat cakes.
Yeah, sure.
If you read Leviticus closely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you're not killing the wheat cake.
Right.
See, it's like this playfulness where, like, he doesn't have to be like, well, actually, according to scholars, and like, look at all my sources, look how smart I am. It's like, the sin offering was a wheat cake, dude. You don't kill a wheat cake. Like, that's rhetoric, right? That's good rhetoric. He takes a very complex idea and he does the thinking for you. He boils it down, right? Bro, didn't even let him finish the sentence. Is that what we're complaining about? He's getting to the point. These people will yap and yap and yap, but it's like the sin offering, most of the time, in many circumstances, is a wheat cake. You don't kill a wheat cake. There's no transference there. It's expiatory.
Like, so sacrifice isn't the act of killing. Sacrifice
Right, so if it is the anointing,
That's a good point. The sacrifice isn't the act of killing. The sacrifice is the meal. The meal is entailed in the sacrifice.
priest who sins, this is Leviticus chapter
Yeah.
14, chapter 4, verse 3. If it is the anointed priest who sins, thus bringing guilt on the people, then he shall offer for the sin that he has committed a bull from the herd without blemish to the Lord for a sin offering. He shall bring the bull to the entrance of the tent of meeting before the Lord and lay his hand on the head of the bull and kill the bull before the Lord.
Right.
And the anointed priest shall take some of. Now, the question is, what is the significance of the priest laying his hand on the bull?
Right.
And there are other.
Ordained?
What was that?
You're ordained, right?
So again, excellent use of rhetoric, where instead of explaining to this guy, hey, there are many circumstances in the Old Testament that involve laying on of hands. None of them involve a transference of sin from one thing to another thing, right? He's going to try to find an analogy that's immediately relatable to the person. Again, very, very good use of rhetoric. It's the advantage Father Stephen going to Reform Seminary. He knows all their talking points. Yeah. He knows Reformed theology. He knows it. You have to understand your opponent's position. That's why I'm over here. I did not go to Reformed Seminary. I have to read Calvin and Bavinck and Sproul and Vermigli. I have to go do all that work. Father Stephen has like formal training in all those things. So yeah, he is, and nobody can say that he's not credentialed. He went to the top Calvinist seminary.
Yes, according to my tradition, I am.
Yeah, right. And so did they come and lay hands on you?
No. Yeah, I think they did.
Okay. Were they putting their sins on you?
No, because we're talking about two different types of ritual acts.
No,
right?
we're talking about the same ritual act.
That's what has to be demonstrated.
Yeah, it's literally the same word. And I think Jacob will, it looks like he looks very eager to address this.
We're
The word
designating-
samach, it's the same word.
They were designating you
It's the same word.
for a
Right.
particular role, right?
Yes.
At a particular office,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
they are taking this bull
Yeah.
from all the bulls in the field, right?
Yeah.
And they are designating this one to be the sin offering.
Yeah. I know. I'm not suggesting.
No transference needed. It's completely read into the text. Totally read into the text. Thank you for the membership, Adam. Thank you for supporting the channel. Appreciate it.
Suggesting that isn't possible, right? But my question is there are others who have argued that more is intended.
If he speaks too hard, he destroys you. Yeah, I'm telling you, he will knowledge gap the entire apologetic scene on the internet, for real.
Hailed by it. It's like the scapegoat, right? Who
The scapegoat isn't sacrificed.
well,
Again, just like knowledge gapped, utterly knowledge gapped.
that's debated.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
Read the text. Read
it's not
Leviticus 16.
sacrificed, right?
It's not
there's
killed. It's not eaten. It's
It's
not sacrificed.
debated.
Yeah, the sacrifice has certain components. You kill it, you eat it. This is blowing my mind. Good. This is an effective use of rhetoric. Plain language. He's being firm in his position. It's not debated. This is like people will complain when you do this in a formal debate.
It's debated about whether or not. So what does it mean
It
that
can't be. It's unclean. It has sins on it. You can't offer it to God. The
No.
other
Not a debate, a dialogue. It has some components, some similarities to a debate, but it's not a formal debate. Father is amazing in rhetoric. Yes. And you know, it comes from knowing your audience. So I think probably as being a pastor, a parish priest, giving homilies, having to explain complex ideas in a simple way to people. Bro, that's crazy. Going up against Father Stephen is a skill issue. Yeah. Yeah. He knowledge gaps everybody, dude. He knows more than you. You will lose. It's like that simple. Right? Yeah, I don't think he's being aggressive. I think he's just being firm in his position. He's being staunch. That's all. I definitely get why Father Stephen doesn't debate, but dang, do I wish he would. Well, and it just goes to show that, like, when your position is correct, you're going to have an easy time with debating. Father Stephen knowledge gap compilation. Yeah. Whip it up, Clippers.
other goat
Right.
is offered as a side offering.
Yes, my point. Yes, you're right about these things, right? But what I'm saying is that the purpose of sending this goat away,
Yes.
right, into the wilderness. Some people have argued that in fact the goat was driven off of a cliff. Right? There's some debate about whether or not.
So look, Father Stephen is familiar with what this guy is talking about, like the goat being driven off the cliff. I can tell he wants to say something.
This is the case.
That's a historical practice that it developed to
Okay,
stop
well-
the goat from wandering back into town, but that's not in Leviticus 16.
Well,
It's
what I'm
tied
trying to
a
say is
bush.
that there are questions. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that I understand that there are other people who have argued the opposite in terms of
Sure, but we
in
can
terms
all
of
we can all suggest things that aren't in the text of Scripture that go beyond.
Yeah, so he's pointing out the fallacy. This is actually like flow state rhetorical prowess, because Father Stephen's doing all of this on the fly, right? So not only is he pointing out the fallacy that Parcels is relying on here, that okay, but some people disagree, right? Which is like, I can't believe people still, it really bugs me when people say that. But okay, you say that, Alex, but some people disagree. So what? Who cares, right? Parcels is like, he's kind of using the same thing where he's, well, this is a disputed issue. And like, so Father Stephen is saying, well, I'll just go back to how he said it because he phrased it perfectly.
wrong. I'm just saying that I understand that there are other people who have argued the opposite in terms of
Sure, but we
in
can
terms
all
of
we can all suggest things that aren't in the text of scripture.
Yeah, so we can all suggest things that aren't in the text of scripture. It doesn't mean you're right just because you suggest it. He's also punching at sola scriptura here. He's going outside the borders of scripture, right?
That go beyond the text of scripture.
Well,
but you as a Protestant, you would want to stick with what's in the text of scripture, right?
well,
This is very, very good rhetoric from Father Stephen Nadir. That's a 2-in-1. Like, not only did he point out the fallacy, he also said, regardless of the fallacy, this way of thinking that you're presenting it conflicts with your worldview, sola scriptura.
no. Let's no. Yes and no, right? What I want is to have an accurate understanding of what was the ancient practice. What was the intention of the ancient practice?
The heck was
Not
that?
as recorded in scripture, but the practice, like the tradition beyond the written scripture.
Well, obviously,
You wanna-
Again, like in a humorous way, pointing out like the very obvious contradiction here. Father Stephen's debating, it would be nothing but actuallys. I think it would be a little more eloquent than that, but basically, like, you have no idea what you're talking about. In that sense, it would be actuallys, because again, he just knows more than everybody. And again, like I said, it's not just like by rote, like he just memorized facts, like he synthesized all this stuff too. There are other people who have argued. I mean, there are self-proclaimed Christians that argue for abortion. Exactly. It's the fallacy that gets under my skin the most.
Understand.
Obviously, you want it to be from the text of scripture. My question is,
Right.
is it simply the case that, as you're saying, that we're simply designating an animal, or is there some sense in which there's I think the word is mimetic, is that right? Mimetic transference of the guilt and sin of the people from their family clan to the animal, which then bears the brunt. That's what I'm asking. And,
No, I know people make that argument or that
Yeah.
claim.
and you just think that that's
I think it's not in the text of
it's
scripture.
reading too much into.
Yeah,
what
it's completely
is being
read
said.
into. There's only one place in the Torah where sins are placed on an animal.
Yeah.
That's the scapegoat, and it is not sacrificed.
Jacob is just like leaning back in his chair, enjoying this entire interaction. Like, he's demonstrating how like the Calvinist understanding of the scriptures is just so far detached from what its original meaning was.
Right.
The other goat is sacrificed. And
So
you
then the
can't
question is-
sacrifice the scapegoat because
so
it's now
would you-
unclean.
Yeah, but you would. I'm sorry, I missed that last part because I was.
Oh,
talking.
the goat is unclean once the sins are placed on it. You,
Can we give credit to Parcels there, by the way, for being like, I actually want to hear the rest of what you just said. Like, my bad. Can you repeat that, please? Like, credit for engaging in good faith with Father Stephen on the merits here. That's hard when somebody just knows more than you.
you can't
Yeah.
offer an unclean animal as a sacrifice to God.
Right, and it's driven out of the camp.
Right.
Right, and what is the
I just think Father Stephen goes on his show frequently. In sense. He is an Orthodox Jew, and they talk about like Torah stuff, which the more I'm looking at this, I guess I'll confide in you guys a bit. The more I do apologetics, the more I realize how important, like, to just have a really good understanding of the Gospels and have a really good understanding of the Torah. Like, they're the fundamentals for a reason. Like, the Torah is very, very important. It is the foundation for like everything in the New Testament. You have to have a very good if you guys saw when I was talking to Kangman yesterday, where I was talking about how like iconography is important. It's in like literally the configuration of the Jewish camp, right? The way that Judah is the lion, and you go through Genesis 48 and you see that each tribe has a connection to a constellation in the sky, and that's how they're organized on the ground, and that the tabernacle is in the middle, and that the images of the cherubim are there for a reason. They represent the divine council, and the Holy of Holies represents the throne of God. And it's again the same thing you see in this divine council scene in Job, in Isaiah, that Jeremiah talks about. Like, you need to know that stuff really, really well. Alex's Silas Scriptura confirmed. That's funny. Yeah, dude, the Torah and the gospel, like, that will take you so far. Right? It'll take you so far. And just understanding the milieu. To understand the New Testament, read the Old Testament 50 times. Yeah, I think that's probably the right ratio even. Man, I feel like I don't even if something's worth reading and there's some substance in a book, I don't even really. I feel like I need to read it 3 times, really, to have like a working understanding of it, to use it in debates like that. I think St. Paul had the whole Old Testament memorized. I think it's just the Torah. I think it's just the Torah. Alex, I know you know this, but the easiest way to debate Prots is constantly quote the Old Testament. They never read it. Yeah. You notice Nick is also very proficient in the Minor Prophets. I give him a lot of credit for that. That's very important. So what you're telling me is that when you say something, you should know what you're talking about. I mean, there's like when it comes to debating and dialogues and conversation like this, like, yes, skill in debating, skill in being able to express yourself efficiently is important. That will never replace a mastery of the material, right? Like, yeah, Father Stephen is using like really good rhetoric and communication here because he's he's done public speaking. He's a homily every Sunday at his parish, and he's with like Pajot and Jordan Peterson and these guys, right? So he's skilled in speaking, but if he was not, it's just like, what anime could I compare this to? Like, look at Naruto. He has all this chakra, right? That's like what I could compare it to, like the knowledge gap. Just a raw knowledge. Like they just can't keep up. Right. And then when that gets refined with rhetoric, that's what makes you makes Father Stephen such a formidable opponent, formidable interlocutor. I know he's not a debate, so it's not an opponent, but talk no jutsu. Yeah. Never appreciated pure rhetoricians, but pure content people aren't good to listen to. You need both. Exactly. You need both. You're not going to be able to get away with content by just using magic words, right? If you have no substance to what you're saying, no magic words will make up for that. And on the other hand, if you have a lot of content, but you deliver it in a way that is dry and you force your audience to have to work to understand what you're saying, that's also bad. That means you're lazy. You're not putting in the work to boil down the information that you have in a way that's consumable to the normal person. I have very strong opinions on this. The point Alex made about Shmika and the Aaron debate really underscores this point. Yeah, they didn't know. I'm not like knocking Aaron. I love Aaron. Great guy. Class act. I don't really think he knew what to do with that. Alex got Naruto knowledge. I'm 33. That would be my the big 3. Bleach, dude. I watched Bleach to death. I watched Naruto to death. I did not watch One Piece. But dry knowledge is like a rug burn on the brain. Yes. Thank you, Nathaniel. Exactly. So you have to boil it down yourself and present it in a way that's consumable to people. Otherwise, you're just lazy. But everybody can just present information. I'm going to go like take a book and just read it to you. Like nobody watches me for that. Like those videos that I did on, icons, on intercession of the saints, those ones that were very that people engaged with a lot, is because I took all the information, I presented it in a way that was efficient. Otherwise, I could just read. I just read right out of the book. Like that's easy. Anybody can do that. The hard part, the actual work, is presenting it in a way that's presentable. You got to watch One Piece. I think there's too many episodes for me to commit to that at this time. Let's finish this one up, because this is an example again of good communication, good rhetoric, and also just raw knowledge gapping. The Calvinist here. No offense, parcels.
Symbolic or spiritual significance of its being driven out of the camp. What does that do for the people?
Right. So
context again, if you forgot from my spiel, they're talking about the Day of Atonement ritual with the 2 goats in Leviticus.
Sin in the Torah has a kind of ontological reality to it. There's a taint that it leaves that has to be purified.
Exactly.
Right. And so the sin is placed on the goat.
Yep.
The goat takes it away off in the desert, back to Azazel.
Yep.
Right.
Whatever that means.
Out into the place of death. Right. Out where it came from. Right. And takes it back there.
Right.
I like, this is a funny tactic Father Stephen is using. He's like getting parcels to agree to every link in his chain of reasoning as he's going through the link. Because like independently, all of those propositions are not controversial. So it's like that thing where like people will call in to my show and they'll agree to every single premise and just disagree with the conclusion. Right, so that's a good thing. That Father Stephen is like stringing along parcels on the chain, the logic chain here.
And is it so? It's no longer on the people.
Yes.
Right. So basically, what I'm hearing is that we're not really that far apart because we're agreeing.
How do you get that from from what Father Stephen just said? That's funny.
Agreeing in principle that such a transference can take place, right?
Well, we're agreeing that expiation is a thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, okay.
I have a problem with your definition of propitiation, not with
Okay.
Well,
your
you know, it's
understanding of
interesting. I had a professor in seminary who pressed me on this
This is
particular.
a Hebrew Bible study. I have to.
I'm talking Torah. I'm talking
Yes, you are, and I want to explain.
Yeah.
So there is this idea, which is in the Ten Commandments, right? That when we sin, right, our sins pollute our environment, right? Pollute how the world exists, and that is how we understand God.
This was an interesting discussion. So they talk about how like sin itself does not have ontology, but when you sin, there it leaves like a taint, like a pollution on in the world. Salesman level, I'm in sales, and there's a lot of tactics and training on getting people to say yes several times along the path to close. I mean, it's persuasion, right? It's just like different. It isn't a bad thing, just making the observation. It's all the same thing. In sales, I don't think you need... In sales, you need to be like fast, right? So they talk more about efficiency. For lawyers, when we're cross-examining someone, there is no time limit. For opening statements, there is no time limit. You take as much time as you need. So we're really not all that different, fallacy. Yeah. I agree. So yeah, this discussion though, the substance of this coming discussion, this is interesting. It's like sin, as I said, sin itself does not have ontology. However, it does like that taint of sin does have like ontological language is used to describe that. And that's how it explains how like sin passes on sin. The consequences of sin passes on to the next generation, right? Generational curses in the Bible. So again, like that is the consequence of sin. So although sin itself doesn't have ontology, the consequences are real. So
God visiting the sins of those who hate him down to the third and even fourth generation.
The question from Incense Addict, what's the easiest way to show Protestants sin doesn't have ontology? I mean, God created all things. So if you say that sin is a thing, you have to say God created it. There's probably like, I'd probably go to James. Yeah, James 2, it says like God tempts no one to evil. Sin doesn't come from God. It's an absence of God. Yeah, you can't say that evil comes from God.
Right? There is an impact of sin in the world, just as there is, and well, not just, because there's an eternal impact of your mitzvot. You guys don't have an opposite of sin. We have mitzvot. Right? Like, so you do a mitzvah.
What do you mean, you people?
You people.
We're all about the good works. We're all about
Goyim over there.
The Dutch. That's what I mean.
I do mitzvahs all the time.
Yeah. So there are mitzvot which you do by doing the will of God in the world and be in their nature as representing God's will in the world.
Goyim mentioned, LOL.
They are in fact eternal, and that's what it means when it says down to thousands of generations, your love of God is in the world. Similar way, sin pollutes the world, and this is a pollution which in a symbolic manner, but not just symbolic, because spiritual realities are realities, can...
Exactly, Silver. You're spot on. Like that's an ontological reality that now you have no house for your kids to inherit. Like the taint of the sin is real. The sin itself is not.
And in fact, creates a tuma, creates an impurity, which can be sent out of the congregation. And just as a person who is a leprous person, right, because he has been afflicted by God, calls out tameh tameh and walks out of the congregation, but that is because of his sin, right? Once we divorce the taint of sin from ourselves through confession, it is possible then for there to be expiation.
Bro, I remember going through like Ezra and Nehemiah in the Old Testament, and you're like, wait, hold on a second. They had confession and the Jews had confession. This is not something that people made up. Father Stephen did awesome in this video. Loved it. Yeah, he did. Excellent use of rhetoric, getting right to the point. And again, a demonstration of mastery of the material.
Once it has been divorced from us through our confessions and God's forgiveness, then it is possible for it to be expiated. And as Isaiah makes perfectly clear in chapters 1 and 2, without your repentance, there is nothing at all that any of these sacrifices do. And when you do in fact repent, your sins, God makes them as white as snow, right? And then that is why you get to bring a sacrifice to the temple. You are not allowed as an impure person to bring a sacrifice to the temple. You bring a sacrifice to the temple where you share a meal with God, right?
Yeah, so there is, I see Pseudo Stephen is giving references on this, but this is like the most famous prayer we use in Orthodox Christianity is Psalm 50, right? Where it says, it's not sacrifices, it's a broken and contrite, a humble spirit, right? That fall. Psalm 50 just called. Yeah, it's literally what's described in Psalm 50. It's like, he wants a broken and humble spirit, a humble heart. Then you go offer sacrifices, right? So like, I think a lot of Protestants will stop reading at like, oh, he doesn't want sacrifices. He wants a humble and contrite heart. Well, keep reading to the end of the Psalm. Like repentance, you need a humble heart, and then you go offer sacrifices. Like there's still the sacrifice. So
sacrifice is a celebration. It is not some horrible manifestation of your sins which you throw away. And the Seir HaMishtaleach, right, is one of the very few ways, and there's a reason why the Seir HaMishtaleach is for communal sins, not for individual sins, right, is that it is ritually sent out of the camp. But this idea of me today sinning and then like a financial transaction where, I mean, it's just so repugnant to everything the Bible teaches that suddenly my sins are somehow expiated because justice demands, God forbid, that an innocent person suffer, is just so far away from anything that the Bible teaches that this is why I worry about my friends who are Christians who believe in public penal substitutionary atonement. Because as Jesus quotes, and it's said in the Talmud many, many times, by the measure that you measure, you will be measured. And if you believe that it is right for the innocent to suffer for the sins of the guilty, how much more so will it be right for the guilty to suffer for the sins of the guilty?
yeah, I think Jacob is spot on there. Alex, I would call, but I have nothing practical to say. I mean, I feel like I took too long. We're 3 hours in already. I took too long going through Nick's debate. So I think anybody who had the passion to call in that disagreed is fine. If you want to just do like chill stream, call in just like Q&A, AMA, that's fine too.
And if you come at the day of judgment with this judgment in your mind, God have mercy on your soul. Because I seriously believe you will in fact pay for saying such horrible things about God. And that's what Ezekiel 18 is railing against. God says this should never be said.
I would call, but we would just make small talk, like, how you doing? Yeah. Don't call in for small talk, because I do want to go to sleep at some point. Call in if you have questions. Call in if you have questions. Or observations, or rumors, or opinions, or scandals.
You're saying my ways are not fair. Is it not your ways? And I tremble at the idea that any of my friends believe in this penal substitutionary atonement. I really do.
Dramatic
Yeah, somebody
silence.
said
Like,
there's no
very dramatic silence there.
there's no levels of Jacob. Jacob always takes it up to 11.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I don't think you're going
like-
to be damned for all eternity for believing in penal substitutionary atonement. For the
I hope not. But if that is the measure by which you are measuring,
I understand the point you're making.
And it's funny. There are things I don't quote to Christians usually because they come from the Talmud and stuff. Until I started reading the Christian Bible and I found out it's the Christian Bible has it. Now I can quote that.
Same thing. Yeah. It's so connected. To really understand the New Testament, again, like somebody said, you got to know the Old Testament like really, really well. And there's also a bunch of cultural context from the Second Temple period. Like, people don't even know that at Qumran, the book that had the most copies there was Genesis. But after that, it wasn't Isaiah, it wasn't Jeremiah, it was Jubilees. It was Jubilees, man. What religion is Jacob? Orthodox Jew. He's Jewish. He's not a Christian. Yeah, the cultural milieu of the time. It's the same way if we're going to go and interpret the Constitution. What does the Constitution mean? Well, we should probably look up what the words meant when the framers wrote it at the time. If I call in, does my question have to be related to this topic? I mean, sure. I mean, not this topic, but well, I never knew that about Jubilees. Yes, it was extremely popular during the Second Temple period. Extremely popular. And if you're going to understand the Bible, you need to understand the cultural context in which it was written. Right? And you guys know this because my chat is smart, but it bears reiterating these things, right? I thought Isaiah after Genesis, to be honest, but that's good to know. Isaiah has like the great Isaiah scroll, so it has like that famous one. But in terms of sheer number of copies, right? It's Genesis and then Jubilees.
Because it's like, hey, yes, my Bible doesn't say it, but yours does.
Yeah. So the reason I would not say that is I'm far enough away from Protestantism now that I think whatever wrong-headed ideas you may have in your head is completely irrelevant.
Completely?
To your salvation. In that it's based on what you do. Now, what you do is going to be affected by what you believe, right? So that's going to be relevant there. But the people I know who believe in penal.
I think that's a good answer for when people are like, when they try to press Orthodox Christians on like the period of Arianism in the church, where there was like a pretty back and forth battle between the Arians and the Orthodox Christians, like basically up until like from 325 to 381, basically. Book of Enoch came 500 years after Enoch. No, I think it came even later. It was the Second Temple period book. Is even later than 500 years. It's from I think it's from the Second Temple period. What was I saying? It's getting late. I'm losing myself here. Yes. The period of Arianism. People like to use this against Orthodox Christians because, like, oh, what if your bishop believes in Arianism? Because they can't tear their salvation away from like the things, like some concept that you think of, some concept that you believe. Right. Yeah, so I've been debating absolute spuds. That's funny. Potatoes. Yeah, so it's not like, again, like I said, doctrine doesn't save you. Obstinately holding the wrong doctrines that could condemn you.
Substitutionary atonement. For example, do not say, oh, Jesus was punished for all of my sins, past, present, and future, so I could just go out and sin and live however I want to and do whatever I want to.
I've heard too
Right.
many Christians say that they've heard too many Christians say that.
That's weird.
Right. I'm not saying there's nobody. I'm saying the people I know.
Okay, I'm not here.
The people I know. I know lots of Protestants who say good works have nothing to do with salvation and spend their whole life dedicated to doing good in the world.
And I love them. I
There's a
love
lot of
those people.
You know,
Yeah, this channel is very smart. Whoever started this clips channel, the pseudo Steven, and they'll have to do like some digging, but it'd be pretty easy, right? Just once you know the main Orthodox interviewers, like wherever Father Stephen shows up, just like clip those, make channel, right? It's good work to have all of his takes in one place, because he's like the Bible guy as for the Eastern Orthodox, right? That's his PhD was in biblical studies, right? So we learned a few things today, guys. We learned about what not to do. From Nadir, we saw a masterful use of rhetoric from Father Stephen. Yeah, laity can leave the theology to the thinkers and participate in the sacrament. Exactly. Exactly. Go confess your sins. Follow 2 Peter chapter 1. Have to live it out. You know who I'd like to see you debate? Mike Winger. He won't debate. First of all, his channel, I don't think he debates anybody, really. I think he had like 1 or 2 debates a while ago, and he like lost terribly. Yeah, he's not a debater. Alex, what is your full first name in Romanian? Alexandru. DRU. Shocker. Romanian name ending in U. Right. Wes Huff would never. The thing is, like, their channels are just bigger than mine, so I get that. It's just like, I look at that stuff too when I debate. Like, I'm trying to be smart about my debates. I don't want to debate just anybody. I'm trying to grow the channel and reach more people. And there's also like an insinuation in a way that like they're equal to me, like that Christian King guy. Like, that's gonna sound bad, but good night, y'all. God bless. Keep on soaring, you Eagles. Thanks, Brady, for the $4.99 super chat. We are winding down here, but we have a caller. We have Nick H. What's up, Nick? How you doing?
Hey,
Nick?
can you hear me?
Yes. Did you end up having that conversation with with the family?
Oh, no, it's a family friend.
It's probably wise not to.
Yeah, we haven't talked on that topic since, and I really don't plan to unless they choose to bring it up.
Yeah.
But hey, I was just gonna say, so I made the sales comment, about like the persuasion techniques and all that. And before that, so I was a police officer for 6 years before I got injured.
Oh, nice.
And during that time, it's funny because like the way that I listened to you debate, it kind of reminds me of the first time I ever had to do a jury trial, and it was like a pretty airtight case, or so I thought, and the rhetoric totally won over the jury. So like they
It's
picked
probably
me
not
apart.
good
I was
to laugh
sweating.
about that, but like I appreciate like the profession, like the mastery over presentation that these people have, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought going in there, it was, the first time I'd ever done that, and I thought the prosecution prepped me pretty well. But whoever the defense attorney was, I mean, he made me look really dumb. He ripped my report apart, kind of poked holes in everything, and the elements of the crime were still there. So I thought, but the jury didn't see it the same way, and I was sweating, I was fidgeting. It was, yeah, rhetoric is a really powerful tool, and the persuasion as well. So.
Yeah, and it always like it needs some substance behind it too, right? Like people when they hear rhetoric, I know the way you're using the term, it entails, logical deductions and premises and whatnot, but people throw the term around as if like, oh, you just said some magic words and now you just somehow my argument doesn't make sense anymore. You said some magic words. It's like, no, it's not how it works. You do have to actually look at the substance of things and point things out. But yeah,
I find it funny that it's a lot of these people who've probably never spent any time in a courtroom or in any sort of field where heated discussions or arguments happen, where they say, "Oh, that's mean," or "you," or Jay Dyer or some of these people. They're like, "Oh, they're just mean." It's you're gonna get heated and you're gonna try to prove your point, and the rhetoric counts. It does. because I think you mentioned it. You're not necessarily trying to win over the person in front of you, but the audience, you know.
Yeah, especially when you have evangelism as a goal, right? Like I posted about this on Twitter where I said, like, if you think I'm being mean to someone, like I am not being any more mean or imposing any higher standards or like any more scrutiny than the typical litigator would in like any case in the Metro Detroit area. Like, you know, this is not like some really hard questions that I'm asking most of these people. It's like they kind of defeat themselves in a way. It's kind of like cave under the pressure.
Yeah, for sure. So anyways, I just want to make that comment. I know it's getting late and there's probably somebody behind me, so I'll see you next time.
Thanks for calling in, Nick. Cool guy. Rhetoric without substance is the news. It's the news channels. You have to really believe them already. Yeah. The echo chamber. We have the Chad calling in. The OG, the Chad. Nice beard, dude. You're living up to your name.
Thanks. I'm the one that was on the beach in Mexico and turned his camera on.
Oh, nice.
Got out in time before all hell broke loose. Luckily, we were on the other side of the country. So,
yeah.
I was watching your guest appearance on Cleve's channel yesterday with Kang Min.
Dude, I had 3 hours of sleep going into that one. Like the night before, and then I was up the whole day. Cleve messages me. He's like, "Hey, can you hop on at like 9 for the stream?" I was like, all right, I'll do it. Like I was just trying my best to present something coherent. But
no,
yeah, Kangman is really cool. I like him. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, he seemed real genuine. I don't want to keep you, up too late here. I'm Mountain West.
I mean, I'm in the danger zone already. So like,
then my comment was, because I've heard this come up a few times, and I think it was Father Stephen DeYoung that gave the explanation of Protestants' aversion to veneration, and someone kind of mentioned either in his chat, I think it was I was watching one of his when he plays the video game. I forgot which video game it is, but
Rivals.
There we go.
Marvel Rivals.
It was one of those, and it was just in passing, but I was like, that is exactly right. Having come out of an evangelical, my wife was evangelical forever. That someone had commented, and he was like, "Yeah, what they do is veneration." And
so they confuse it with worship.
Yes.
They literally call it worship.
Exactly. And when he said that, I was like, that's why they have such an aversion, because they don't
know anything different from that. You sing songs to a saint. You have an akathist for a saint. That's worshiping God. You're worshiping the saint. And it's like, nope. Sing songs about a lot of people. You sing songs about Yankee Doodle. Nobody thinks you're worshiping Yankee Doodle. But for some reason, you're right, because that's how they worship God. They think everybody sees it that way.
Yeah, they don't tie the sacrament and sacrifice to the worship. They think the worship is the venerating they do in whatever cool rock song they have that week.
That's because it's a relationship, not a religion. It's a spirituality, not religion.
Well, I don't want to get into much trouble with my evangelical friends, once they pull up this clip online. But that was, when I heard Father Stephen DeYoung say that, I was like, that's such a good way to express it to the Protestants that have that hesitation. And I was waiting. I was thinking, well, I'm guessing Alex has heard Father DeYoung say that. And it didn't come up, and you said you were tired, and I don't know if you've heard him say that, but I was waiting for it. I was like, this is the perfect time to tell him, because he was so close. He was so close.
Yeah.
Fully committing to, no, I see it. But
yeah, we're still going in the DMs and stuff. But
awesome.
There was his question about iconography. In hindsight, I mean, I think all that stuff is important that I brought up, talking about how nope, this is you can't even understand anything without the theology of icons, especially in the Old Testament. Then I realized that he said he was okay with kissing icons of the Theotokos and of Christ. It was the other saints that he had a problem with, or had an aversion, a hesitance. I guess maybe not problem, but a hesitance for. Then somebody in the chat talked about Revelation 3:9, that those from the synagogue of Satan will literally venerate the Christians. So I think the chat covered it where Cleve and I were lacking. So
yeah, just
guys, I'd love to get these guys like Hangman and Aaron Gallagher, get them all on our side, dude. Imagine the Ortho Bros being like the DEI crowd, being like, look, we have Asian Ortho Bros, we have Romanian Ortho Bros, we have Serbian, we have Ukrainian, like Val, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Vibrant diversity faction.
And at the risk of overstaying my welcome, the one thing I did notice, and I get, you know, Cleve's personality, and he's very charismatic, and I like him a lot. Him and Kingman they used the word based like 700 times during that.
I didn't even realize that. That's funny.
And like, regardless of, you know, I think you kind of have to have particular leanings if you're going to be Christian, but I do, like, especially as I've entered into the inquiry and talking with the father here at the Orthodox Church, like, the church is outside of national politics. It's eternal, right? And so
that's exactly the line of thinking that I had when he was talking about nationalism. I was like, do I bring up ethnophiletism now, or is this too early for him to be like,
I don't want to say
we kind of transcend nationalism.
Yeah. I didn't want to, like, it doesn't put me off, but I'm like, you need to come to realize that, like, it's been through the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, through, you know, communism of the 20th century, and everything in between. So, you know, you can't put it in the context of, I like it because it appeals to my current
political sensibilities.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a good point. However, if politics is what brings him to Holy Orthodoxy, then I will, with the Greek, I'm a Greek, with the Jew, I'm all things to all people, so that, you know, we might save some, maybe. But I agree that view would have to change. That's like what I was talking about with the interracial marriage thing, with like the Reformed bros who were like, we have to preserve our nation and our people. I'm like, why? Where does it say that in the Bible? Who in the Fathers says to do that?
Who are our people?
Chrysostom says like literally the opposite. It says there's no point to having kids now because we have resurrection in our bodies anyway.
Yeah.
You don't need your life to continue on. Your life does continue on, regardless of whether you have kids or not. Like, and he's not saying that, like, you know, having kids is bad, obviously. He's just saying that, like, our hope is not in the biological kids we leave behind. It's in our spiritual children and in the resurrection. Yeah. Chat is right here. That's something people have to shut off. Yeah, I agree. With the Jew, you're a Jew. You got me, guys.
Well, I mean, how friendly that's the first clip of Father Stephen Young and Jacob that I've seen brought up on any channel. So I'll have to go and look for some more. But how cordial are they? You can very much tell.
Oh, they're friends. Speaking, yeah.
But there isn't an adversarial, like, demeanor between the two of them, especially when they're talking, you know, Old Testament, because they're obviously both like relative masters in that area. But it's not as though, like, when you said to a Jew, I'm a Jew, it's, well, no, I'm going to appeal to the sensitivities of that individual to ensure that they hear the truth.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, man, go to bed.
Will do. Going to bed ASAP. Just going to go through over the last comments here. Oh, there are people commenting about Saki al-Bukhari 230. Maybe that's see what this one has to say. Bro, it's gonna demonetize my whole stream now. Asked Aisha about the clothes soiled with male seed. Ugh. She replied, it's the term is like, it doesn't sound nice, whatever. She replied, I used to wash it off the clothes of Allah's messenger, and you would go for prayer while water spots were still visible. Yeah, this is something I think David Wood brings up to troll them sometimes. You know, sometimes the best rhetoric is just trolling, but yeah. Yeah, you can't take the bad guys. Yeah, that's seriously. Yeah, respectful but firm. Exactly. Are you guys trying to ruin Alex's sleep? Bro, I'm just gonna go into my stash of roasted potatoes, some pre-sleep carbs, and just charge up for a liturgy. Right. Guys, thanks very much for interesting stream. I think we were able to learn something from the blunders of Nick's opponent here, and also from Nick, his very direct opening statement. It was very good, very concise. And we have something to learn from everybody, and also from Father Stephen. So have fun with your potatoes, with the spuds. Thanks, guys. God bless. I hope you enjoyed the song, bro. Octavian, thank you very much, dude. I appreciate this. 99, dude, that's huge. Thank you very much, man. For real. I'm gonna give you a gong before. Trump accent. I'll do my best. I don't have the best Trump impression. Move to Alberta. It'll be a U.S. territory soon anyway. Value go up. Also, thank you for spending your Saturday night with this chat who haven't even at all liked the stream. Only losers haven't liked the stream. Only losers haven't liked the stream. If you're here just lurking, consider liking the stream. And if you don't want to do that, consider disliking the stream. So thank you very much, Octavian. Not only does he moderate my chat, supports the channel monetarily as well. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Very based. Blessed Feast of St. Gregory Palamas. Alex, thank you. Yes. Blessed liturgy to everyone. Too late. You mustn't eat after 6 p.m. Yeah. I know. The liturgical day has started already. So, if you don't like the stream, you're gay. Based. All right, guys. Now I'm actually getting off. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for the support. It really means a lot. It really puts like it's a fire under my ass. You guys know I don't like to swear, but there's the that's just how the expression goes. Puts a fire under my ass to actually get the content out there. So thanks again, everybody. God bless. Blessed liturgy.